A Machiavelli production. Yo, we kicking off live with the facts on the table. 3 hours deep on the lies they enable. Bills packed with poor votes bought in the dark. Congress playing games while the people get sparked. Mainstream media metric mangling, rhetoric tangling, packing to the narrative lacquered in lies with the glossy allure. We wheel through the static, surgical with the syllables, sinking the signal, slicing the noise and delivering sharper, richer. Truth no longer obscure. Bullpens up, we locked and loaded. Independent voices truthfully decoded. No corporate spin, no filter deception. Round one starting, real talk in session. The bullpen. The bullpen. Hey, power broker scheming when the spotlight fades. Lobbyists crafting laws in the backroom shades. Corporate media feeding the same tired script. We expose the grift and the lies they permit. Independent media rising against the machine, bringing clarity where the propaganda's been seen. Hold up, pause the feed, let the real one speak. No gatekeepers here, no agenda to tweak. Algorithms trying to bury the dissenting view, but the bullpen squad got the mic and we coming through. No sacred cows, we roast them all the same. Truth over clicks, that's the name of the game. Whispers turning into mandates, loud big tech shadow banning while they hide in the cloud. Inflation taxing pockets that they swore they protect, while elites throw champagne on another private jet. We connect the dots that the cable news skips, call out the flip-flops and the policy slips. No left, no right, just facts in the fight. Every episode I might check under the lights. It's time to lock it, from city blocks to red dirt lanes. Welcome to the bullpen.
Hey everybody, it's another Sunday night, so even though we didn't do it last week, we've got a new episode of The Bullpen. How's everybody doing?
Good. Very good, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
About yourself?
You guys have a good week off?
I mean, I was sick, so no. It was, by the way, fun fact that I learned, if you're using a CPAP machine to help breathe when you're sleeping, if you've got a cold and your nose is completely stuffed up, not a good thing. It's just basically like air blasting snot down your throat. So
Nice.
That sucks.
and that's the visual everyone should get to live with now. Good for you.
Snot
Yay.
blasting.
Swallowing your own snot. Yay. Yeah, I've been doing good. I did the Vegas trip, so that was part of the reason we didn't have a show last week. Went out and saw everybody. Had a few different little meetups. Had a good dinner on Saturday night at Batista's Hole in the Wall, which is my favorite place to go in Vegas. So that was a good little getaway. Right before my good little getaway to Fort Worth coming up in about 2 weeks. So, but we'll probably do the show from there. So
Okay.
it may even be a bro over show. Who knows?
Wow, another monkeypox super spreader event.
That's the plan. Yeah, Zephyr says, I really hate Vegas. So do I. Especially wearing the smoking jacket and 115 degrees. That was a bit rough.
Well, the good news is they're planning on not doing it again.
Yeah, I think he got
August.
enough complaints about it in August. I mean, April was fine. Usually the pools are open. It's semi-warm enough. You've got a few days in the 70s and a few days in the 80s. And if you want to go to the pool, you can. But 115, no good.
No.
But me and Real Fake Wizard survived our Stupid little costumes. Although he didn't look like he was going to. He stayed in the air conditioned room along
Smart.
with Disbrew, because Disbrew got to have that AC while he's over here.
Well, I mean, it's like 90 degrees there in UK.
Yeah, and he said they're completely sold out on AC. That's why you can't get one right now. But what was it on FNT? He was saying it was actually registering 90 something in his bedroom
house.
or in his studio. So that's miserable.
That is miserable. I mean, fucking like 80 degrees is miserable in a house.
I mean,
imagine 90.
I'm probably at about 80 to 85 right now in here because we didn't run the AC today. And it's warm. There's a little bit of glistening gonna be happening, but that's why I'm not wearing the jacket tonight. So, but we got a lot of stuff that's happened over the last 2 weeks politically. Actually, it's not even so much politically. There's a few political things. There's a whole bunch of influencer things that I guess is politics, but it's more kind of just disappointing. And I don't know. Did either of you guys watch the Candace and Andrew Wilson debate?
I honestly, I have better things to do with my time.
Yeah, I didn't I was gonna sit down and watch the whole thing, but I was like, no, from the clips, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
What were they debating?
Nothing really, because
Nothing.
neither one was really.
They forced them to decide on different claims that they were taking. Candace's claim was that that there's no evidence that Tyler Robinson was involved, and Andrew Wilson's was basically that there's plenty of evidence that Tyler Robinson is the killer of Charlie. So,
yeah,
just calling her out on her complete conspiracy theory BS.
There was
she's so backed into it that there's no way she's getting out of it at this point. I mean, she's going to continue to just keep calling out TPUSA, Israel, whoever.
Yeah, it's funny because Comix in this show's group chat, I had posted the one link just because I thought it was the most concise way to sum it up. Where Candace was like, he didn't say that. He didn't say because Davis was pointing out that Robinson had pointed out in text messages, "You're gonna see me on the security footage from the college." And she was like, he never said that. Fact check. Can we get a fact check? And then a few minutes later, as they're still arguing about this, they were like, oh, yeah, here's the text message where he said it. And she's like, well, I never said he didn't say it. I just said I didn't see it.
Yes.
And it was just like, you C word. Because she's like, this is why there's no debating with her. She is a full-on
retard.
No, she is a narcissistic borderline personality disorder. She is the same.
Oh, I don't think it's borderline.
No, well, that's the clinical definition.
Right.
Yeah, this is the same diagnosis Jodi Arias got. It's the same diagnosis that Casey Anthony got. These are people who will murder you because if you're not with them, you're against them. And for someone who's a narcissistic personality like Candace Owens, in my opinion, because this is my opinion, not a fact. It's my opinion that because I'm not a mental health professional, but in my opinion, because I know Candace Owens knows a lot about getting sued for defamation.
Defamation. And has currently got a few different lawsuits up in the air,
she's going to lose to the Marcone's wife. She's going to lose to, it's just like a ridiculous thing. Anyway, so point being, this bitch is a terrible person who exists to try to, the narcissistic personality exists to destroy you. If they are a corrosive, they are fucking acid.
It's the cluster bees that Keri Smith likes to talk about all the time.
This is I'm not going to say a lot of things that Scientologists got right. Because there's not. But one of the things that the Scientologists, a blind man gets or whatever, broken clock. one of the things Scientology talks about is the suppressive personality. But if you look at the definition,
Subversive personality?
No, suppressive. They call it suppressive in Scientology. Okay. But what it basically is talking about,
that's one of the stages of possession as well,
is narcissistic person. It's narcissists who are the people who, when you put other people around them, they will just bring. It's like if you ever saw The Simpsons, where they showed you the cone of shame, when like everyone who sits around Bart and he brings them all down like into a black hole of failure. Narcissists just destroy people, and that's what Candace is. She is I guess if you're religious, she is basically a demon in human form designed to corrupt and destroy. And I don't like to mince words. I'm getting tired of it, because over the last year since that terrible event happened, almost a year, Candace Owens has done nothing but be a corrosive, destructive, negative personality, and she sucks so many wine moms and people who don't necessarily really focus on the actual events and evidence in. She is doing, like, she has done more damage to the legacy of Charlie Kirk by what she's doing than anybody, I think, on the left. Because
because this whole
year, the assassination happened? Was it July
September
or August?
10th.
September
10th.
Shit. That was
so we're coming up on a year.
Yeah.
But I mean, this whole year should have been a time when a whole bunch of people were coming together to, continue Charlie's legacy and to carry on stuff. Instead, we've got influencer infighting about just about everything, because Charlie was the one apparently holding most of the coalition together.
Yeah.
But we've seen everybody go completely nuts within the last year. The last year brought you the Tucker stuff, the Megyn Kelly stuff, Nick Fuentes on the rise, Candace Owens being a psychopath. And all of this has been in the last year. Although there were signs on the Tucker and Megyn stuff earlier than that. But that really was the impetus for all of this. So let's listen to this first clip from the so-called debate. This is PBD manspreading about as much as he possibly can, asking them how much they think the percentage is that they believe Tyler Robinson is the actual killer.
First off, Brom, I got to call you out. Don't be such a feminist. Complain about manspreading.
It's PBD. Nobody respects him.
Just out of curiosity, are you between 0 to 100? What is the likelihood that you think Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk and killed him?
Based on the evidence right now, I don't know. I'd say 75, 85%.
Candace?
0%.
0%.
I'm at 0.
So
with what we've seen in terms of the evidence, I'm at 0%.
So not only, that maybe somebody was behind him as a patsy influencing him. You're not even saying that he didn't even shoot Charlie Kirk.
I'm just going to, just based on the evidence that's come out.
We're going to talk about the defense filing from this week after this.
I know, but I just want to, I can't, this fucking cunt. I can't let it go. All right. It is a 99. You can argue that there were other people involved.
Right. How did the people on Discord and stuff call what was going to happen?
I think, like, if you want to talk about the conspiracy,
Lance Twiggs was probably very involved.
Yeah, and what's not being talked about, it's the greater support network that was involved in this act. But in terms of this guy being on campus, bringing on the rifle, using that rifle, shooting Charlie, the evidence is 99.9%, because I don't ever think there's 100% stuff. But in this case, I'm leaning towards 100%. Like, there's his fingerprints, DNA. That's his
based on the defense
gun.
filing this week, I think it's 100%.
Yeah, the ballistics.
And it came out a day before this debate happened, so I don't know why nobody gave Andrew this information.
Yeah, that the defense conceded that all these things were true and correct.
Yeah, let's finish it, and then we'll get into the defense filing real quick.
Them as a patsy influencing him. You're not even saying that he didn't even shoot Charlie Kirk.
Right. I would, if you said, was he involved that day, as I have consistently said on my platform, I would say yes, he was. I don't know what role he played, but as the shooter, 0%.
So,
wow.
Now let's talk about what the defense filed last week, because they're basically trying to get the death penalty kicked out on this.
They're going for the Luigi settlement.
Right. They're basically saying, yeah, he shot him. We admit that. But you can't say it was aggravated, and you can't say that it was endangering the lives of anybody else or committing violence in front of a child because he shot one bullet and it hit its target. So nobody else was in danger, even though he's firing into a crowd of people. So that's their argument is, yep, he killed Charlie, but he didn't actually do anything to endanger anybody else.
Fucking retarded.
And I want him to get the death penalty. And I want it to be carried out publicly and quickly.
I think
this dumb whore thinks, no, he had 0% involvement. I mean, it's only his gun. He only admitted to it over text messages. He turned himself in. He's, said the whole time, yeah, it was me.
He admitted
even
it to his family.
From the clip that Chad was talking about, he even said, yeah, you're going to see me on the surveillance videos. And that's not enough for her.
The difference. So this is where you get the difference between the Luigi Mangione case and this one. They were fighting the Luigi Mangione case in New York City, where there was a high likelihood. I'm not saying low. I'm saying extremely high likelihood that some fan woman, girl, person would have been on that jury and could have hung it because they thought he was dreamy.
Oh, we've got a clip of one of those after he pled guilty this week.
So the federal prosecutors, I think, made the right call in just taking the guilty plea and taking the death penalty off the table, because in that case, they were rolling a much different set of dice. In this case, we have a Utah district that is one of the redder districts of Utah that is not going to take kindly to someone making their zone of Utah famous for being the location of one of the most important political figures being assassinated in the last 100 years. So they're going, and Utah.
I still think there's enough crazies that there's still the chance you could get one stupid one on the jury.
I think this is one of those, with this amount of evidence, if someone was on that jury and tried to hang it, the people on the jury would berate them to the point where they dropped out for an alternate, and then they would get a conviction. There's just there's no chance that you're going to draw a jury pool in that zone where you're not going to come away from that. And I'm aware of recent Utah politics, McCracken, but this isn't Salt Lake City. You got to understand the dynamics. The place where Utah is having issues is Salt Lake City. This is not Salt Lake City. So it's like saying Virginia. Like, if there's a very big difference between being prosecuted in Fairfax County, Virginia, and being, prosecuted down in like Bristol, which is down in the Panhandle. You're going to get a completely different jury pool that is with a whole different set of dynamics.
Well, here's a quick clip about the defense filing. So we'll play it.
The apparent defense strategy here isn't to prove that Tyler Robinson didn't kill Charlie Kirk, but that he didn't intend to kill anyone else, and that therefore this should not be a death penalty case. Robinson was charged with aggravated first-degree murder because prosecutors say he fired a high-powered rifle from a good distance away into a crowded Turning Point USA event where others, including children, could have been killed. And at a preliminary hearing last month, they presented overwhelming video, DNA, and ballistics evidence to convince the judge to proceed to trial.
So that's their argument now. Well, he hit who he meant to, so he shouldn't get the death penalty.
Sure, but he fucking murdered somebody.
It's a political assassination.
Yeah, what the fuck?
But he shouldn't get the death penalty because even though he did fire into a crowd with a rifle, he managed to hit his target.
It's fucking horseshit, man.
Yeah.
I hate horseshit.
Looks like Dan Crane gifted 1 Brahma Bowl membership. Thank you, Dan. Let me find something for you. What were the new ones that we added last time?
I don't know. You should go with BDH.
Oh. Please like and subscribe to the Bullpen.
No British accent, though.
I know.
It's all right.
It's still Haley Atwell.
I'm a fan.
And her talents.
Yeah, and her talents, yes.
Yeah,
which,
you're gonna go watch.
which agreed.
Go watch some of her talents on display in lots of previous movies.
Is she going to be
Haley
in
and the
Doomsday?
Atwells? Probably not.
What's that?
I said Haley.
I was
and the
wondering if
Atwells?
she's going to be in Doomsday.
I don't know, but I mean, because they're bringing back Steve Rogers and when he's young, so you'd think that would involve, her as well because of
There might be a cameo, I guess. I don't know.
Right. And what were you asking, Comix?
Oh, I wasn't asking anything. I was just making a comment.
Oh, okay.
By the way, when in doubt, go check out Pillars of the Earth if you're a Haley Atwell fan. Just pro tip. If you've ever wanted to really see her talent on display, that's where
her talents.
Well, her talents, yeah.
Like fully displayed?
Yeah, her talents are on display in that one. It's a miniseries,
Right.
British one. If that crack the code on that.
We've got kind of a supercut really quick that
Comix gets it.
Yeah, that pretty much just is how the whole debate went. I mean, everybody who is for Candace is still going to be for Candace. Everybody who has any normal brain is
That's
still
kind of what I
going
heard.
to kind of agree with Andrew, although he didn't do his best debate.
Yeah,
for what I've seen Andrew be able to do in the debate, he didn't do enough of it. But he also
not letting
she probably
him
would have
smoke.
just gotten up and walked, and he wasn't able to smoke, so he was shaking his foot the whole time.
Yeah,
so.
not letting him smoke was actually a really master stroke on her part, because somebody who's that level of smoker, if you de-nicotine them for an hour or two, they get so antsy and annoyed.
No, I don't. You
Yes,
lying
you do.
bastard. So this is a supercut of pretty much how the actual debate went, though.
My feelings, how I feel about things, how I think about things. Andrew, how many times did you hear this today? Okay,
Evidence that we feel like
Sure,
that's fair.
but-
You know, what do you feel
okay.
like let me help you. Where do you feel like I'm backtracking? Messages feel off. Feels like it's coming out too fast. That something feels
Okay.
off is why people don't feel good. You feel convinced by them. I feel unconvinced by them.
Okay.
That we feel like we can move forward. Did you feel like this is, but you felt like you were convinced.
Right.
I feel like you. It's like feel that you have. I do not feel that you sufficiently feels underwhelming. If you feel bad for her, this part to me feels like I'm answering the question as I feel like I want to answer. This feels like a conspiracy. It doesn't feel right. You do not feel, if you feel like a professor today, well, I feel like, do you feel feels weird to think, I feel confident he's involved. Didn't feel confident how we all feel about her. Feel like if you think that she's dumb, that's why it feels like, well, I just feel like that. I feel like I said, I feel like now you're just kind of, Erica, I feel like
I think it was three.
Three. I hope your team feels fulfilled. Things that we feel are. I feel that I feel like I've sufficiently answered your question. I feel like saying that I spoke to the owner. The point here, I feel like you didn't feel. Still walk away feeling.
But I am
Robinson.
sorry you feel that way.
So yes, her whole thing is about, well, it feels hinky to me, you know, it just doesn't feel right that Tyler Robinson was the one who killed him. And it's like, okay.
What was that thing that
What we're
everyone
asking
says
for
facts
is-
of her feelings? I mean,
Yeah, Ben.
yeah.
But I mean, that's what we're asking for is, can you prove anything that you every single day put out there on your show saying, I've got a bombshell story, you know, my source is telling me this, you know, it's 100%, you know, we've got it, everything, we know it all. And then it comes down to, it's just her feelings on everything. And her feelings are, she's making a ton of money being a psychopath, that I'm fine with people doing conspiracy theory stuff when there's an actual conspiracy theory. She's making it up out of thin air when we all know this is not a conspiracy. There could be some other people involved that we don't know about, but the Tyler Robinson pulling the trigger, it's all right there. We know this. So her conspiracies don't even make sense. But yeah, the whole thing, my problem with it is almost a year later, why is this something that we're all being subjected to? Yes, you didn't have to watch it. somebody needed to call Candace to the mat. I guess for $300,000, Andrew Wilson decided he wanted to do it, but it was a useless talk. All it did was expose more Candace Owens to people, because PBD probably made a crap ton of money hosting this thing, and she's on more people's channels now. More people see her crazy conspiracies. And now they're probably going to go check them out, even if they think that she's completely nuts. In fact, the last year should have probably been spent going through some of Charlie Kirk's archives and learning some more stuff from Charlie Kirk in the year since his death, because that would be a more effective use of people's time than listening to Candace Owens or Andrew Wilson debate. But guess that's just me. I listen to at least one archive Charlie, talk a week at very least. So he was the best of us. We're going to probably do something for a show in remembrance of him again when we get to that 1 year mark, and just look at how much the political landscape has changed in the time since he was killed.
Yeah, sucked into the U.S. the rifle caliber debate that's going on in chat, and I want to kind of correct everything, but I'm going to let it go, because gun people can get sucked into that stuff like comic book people, and I don't want to do that right now, because I feel like that would take away from things. But calibers. All right. Anyway, main thing to understand with this whole thing, every bit of physical evidence, every bit of circumstantial evidence, all of it is being publicly
including
released.
Confessions.
It's being publicly released for the purpose, because, and this is the right call, because they know that batshit crazy people like Candace Owens, in my opinion, are going to go out there and try to use a lack of information as, to try to drum up conspiracy theories. So all of this is out there. When the prosecutors did their filing, it was, normally that filing is supposed to be the bare minimum to support your charges. They put everything in there because
it's just the probable cause hearing.
It's just the probable cause hearing. You don't need to go and release everything. But they did, because they wanted to show that they're not hiding. They put it all on the record. They showed that they gave it all to the defense, even though the defense was trying to imply that they weren't getting all the stuff, when they're like, nope, we gave you everything, and we gave it to you weeks and months ago.
They even got months and months postponed.
Yep.
Because this trial was supposed to take place in the spring.
Exactly. And it's the defense that is delaying. It's the defense that is trying to keep it from being put on television. They're the ones fighting this being shown in public, because they want to take advantage of information gaps and people like Candace Owens, who are trying to seed all these crazy things. It's just like the 9/11 conspiracy theorists. And again,
one of the dumbest portions of this debate was Candace was like, well, can you name any of the 7 charges? And Andrew's like, well, murder. And she's like, nope, that's not what it was. So it was aggravated murder. Yep. And there's a huge difference between aggravated murder and murder. It's like, he's charged with murder.
It's aggravated murder is an enhancement to the charge of murder.
Correct.
It's the same charge. It's just in a lot of different states, they'll have different ways of enhancing the charge. Like, for instance, a very popular example that people know would be assault with a deadly weapon. There's a regular assault charge, but it can be enhanced by the act of committing it with a firearm, with a knife, with something that can kill people, because you are, and in this case it's murder, but it's aggravated murder because of the circumstances.
Which the second charge, she then downplayed, because she was like, discharge of a weapon in public, or whatever the charge is. And then if you look at the actual charge, it's just discharge of a weapon in public with, actual deadly consequences, or I can't remember exactly what the wording is. So she tries to downplay the difference between aggravated murder and murder as a, gotcha on Andrew Wilson. And then she actually downplays the second charge from what it is, which is a far bigger difference between discharging a weapon in public and discharging a weapon in public and injuring or killing.
But this is also like where Candace Owens is the useful idiot, and this is why I tie it into the 9/11 stuff. It's not. I don't like to say that there aren't things that we should investigate and ask questions about like 9/11 or this murder. The difference is when you have somebody like Candace Owens who comes out there and tries to say, "Oh, Tyler Robinson he absolutely didn't shoot Charlie Kirk." It was like, no, he absolutely did. And the question that you are now obscuring is who was supporting him, who else knew about it, who was in these networks that were talking about it and planning leftist violence against
how many of his
conservative political ideas. The counter to that with 9/11 is you have all these people who drum up do this loose change and all this bullshit stuff where it's like it was a missile that hit the Pentagon, it was a planned demolition in New York. And they put so much time and effort into the batshit stupid. They don't ask the right questions. Like, yes, Saudi Arabia and a lot of its citizens were 100% involved in doing this. We 100% allowed them to fly back home, not the terrorists, but a lot of Saudi high-level people so that they wouldn't be involved. We covered up a lot of how people high up within the Saudi government were involved with that. Now, one of the things that people don't want to talk about with Mohammed bin Salman, which is the new Crown Prince, MBS. One of the first, if you go back to the Khashoggi stuff, where were mad at him for possibly maybe being involved in the
assassination of
a quote unquote journalist. One of the things he did when he took over power as the new oncoming, he yeeted a lot of the people who were involved with the Muslim Brotherhood within the Saudi government. And that's where people don't like to talk about it because our media likes to put their head in the sand with this. Khashoggi was a plant for the Muslim Brotherhood within the Washington Post and other publications where he was doing stuff. He was if you think of it from the IRA kind of example, where where Sinn Féin was the political arm of the IRA. As the IRA is bombing places, Sinn Féin is doing the politics for it. The Muslim Brotherhood is the political arm of the terrorist side, and they're a lot more closely aligned than anybody likes to talk about. So this all comes back to when you get these people on here talking about this stuff, they are distracting you to the wrong questions to ask. It's really good to ask questions about what happened and why things happened, and you should always be critical about it, but you shouldn't be stupid. What
she's doing is like, hey, look over there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everything disappears in the other direction.
Yeah, this is the part where they take the people who want to hide the information are using Candace Owens to be the super public Google search result to drive you away from the real questions about who's talking to each other online about these things in these leftist groups.
Why are they planning? So violent?
Why are the trans people so? It's just like they absolutely tried to disappear the Nashville shooters manifesto because that didn't help. They want to make sure that none of this stuff ever gets talked about online because that is the real truth of it. The truth of it is that these, especially trans violence, is a very high. I mean, there's a very high rate of it. There's a lot of questions that people need to be asking about the medications and hormonal drugs that they put trans people on that obviously, in my opinion, seems to have a very high impact on mental health.
Weird that heavily dosing people with testosterone might make them a little bit on the angry and violent side.
Also, the fact that dysmorphia, body dysmorphia, is a recognized mental illness, and that when you heavily dose them on hormonal drugs instead of trying to treat the mental disorder that's at the root of it, it's absolutely predictable that you could have some very violent outcomes. I mean, if you put someone,
especially with their own selves,
if you get someone who's schizophrenic, and instead of trying to treat the schizophrenia, you just dosed them up on testosterone, you think that might end to a really bad outcome when you let them walk around a subway platform?
Yeah.
Like in this case, we're dosing up, we're putting these women on rates of testosterone their bodies are not built to handle. It is 100% biological truth that a normal female human body is not built to be dosed with hormones that way. We used to make jokes about the West German Olympic team,
Right.
and what happened to those women,
the divers,
because they got dosed on all that testosterone. Those female athletes, after the fall of the Berlin Wall, when they came out and gave interviews and talked about how it was absolutely done against their wishes, they were basically effectively tortured into doing it because of how the communists who were running that regime didn't give a shit about them as people. They just wanted to get a temporary result
with their 3 to 4 inch clits,
with their China syndrome.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
side note to this, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's gone around a few times. This latest time has been kind of funny, but study that said basically if you give grown men testosterone, they become more conservative and more masculine. And so they've tested this in the two groups, the progressive left and the conservative right. Conservative right men move. It doesn't change anything about their beliefs. The progressive left men on testosterone, getting them back to normal levels instead of low T, suddenly become more conservative. Just funny anecdote thing.
Are you trying to say that when Bob has bitch tits, he's more liberal?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Bob. Bob has bitch tits.
Yeah. In death, he has a name.
So we did have some political stuff. Todd Blanche has finally been confirmed as the AG. Collins and Murkowski sided with the Dems, citing concerns about the DOJ independence from the presidency. Thoughts, Chad?
About how Murkowski is protecting her flank, and that's what I mean.
Yeah,
because she's an actual Democrat senator from Alaska. Whatever. She's such a. I hate Murkowski. By the way, her family is one of the most corrupt in the entire country. Alaska politics was always corrupt, and it's mainly been since her family's been running things. Her dad retired and had them appoint her as a senator. So she's never really earned it herself. She never got elected on her own bona fides. I hate Murkowski. I don't mind Susan Collins because she's the best, and I've said this before, she's the best we're going to get out of Maine. The fact that we have a Republican senator from Maine is absolutely astounding when you look at New England. So applaud Susan Collins because she comes through and votes for appointees when we need her. And so when she putts around and says stuff, it's
her
not.
Vote wasn't technically needed to get this through.
Yeah, but
I did find it hilarious that they've gone from Plattner to this other guy, and this other guy turns out he's married to his cousin.
Oh, there's more. Well, there's more, and there's more opposition research about to drop. Apparently, he's got domestic violence issues in his past, and they can't replace this one now.
Yeah, it's too late now.
I mean, and Saeed won in Michigan. And Saeed won in Michigan. I'm 100% of the opinion now. Looking at
we'll be talking a little bit about Saeed.
Yeah, that for the U.S. Senate map, the only flip opportunity that the Democrats have is North Carolina. And that's because they have a popular former governor in Cooper. I think Cooper's got a lot of negatives that they're going to be attackable because this is now a national election. Like when you're running for senator, it's national issues instead of being look
local.
At him, he's a governor who helped things. But he was not great on the response to the disaster that came through. The
flooding.
With the flooding. He's really got a lot of issues with the fact that he appointed the parole board that was letting a ton of people out that now have been committing murders because of his soft on crime things. I think, but that one is still tough because I think it's going to be close. He may, but that's the flip. I don't see Ohio.
I still think we're at a 54.
I think
53, 54 is my guess.
I think we stay 53 because if I had to put money down now, I would say they flip North Carolina, but we flip Michigan.
We flip Michigan.
And so it's a push. And then we hold in Maine, we hold in Ohio, we hold in Texas, and we hold in Alaska. I think there's a lot of stuff coming up that Peralta, who is the Senate nominee, is now firing a lot of campaign staff, and there's a lot of internal turmoil. And what the leaking is going on is that their internal polling is showing that she's really she's really behind.
Peralta had to come out and decline the endorsement from Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris puts out a endorsement, and Peralta comes out and is like,
Poltola, whatever
we
her last
did not
name is,
ask for this endorsement. And I guess it was an email that was just sent out by the Kamala Harris, group. And Peralta had to come out and be like, no, we didn't ask for this, that she's doing this on her own. We do not want Kamala Harris's endorsement.
Yeah, in the last
Meanwhile, they're
24
setting
hours,
up.
fucking
They're
kiss
setting
of
up for
death.
Kamala Harris to be their next presidential nominee. They're trying everything that they can not to have a DSA person get into there by changing up their calendar for their primaries.
Yeah,
I
but,
mean,
yeah,
good
in the
on
last-
them, I guess.
Yeah, so just to give you content, in the last 24
But that's
hours.
why AOC is moving back to the middle instead of taking her crazy stand. That's where the woke 1.0 was crazy thing came from.
Yes.
Was her trying to move back away from her actual socialist leanings.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
I was just going to say Patola, the campaign manager and her former chief of staff who was working on her campaign. The former chief of staff came from when she had been in Congress for that one little bit of time where she pulled off that special election win when the Republicans were so anti-Sarah Palin. They let this person sneak in because of Murkowski's ranked choice voting.
Ranked choice.
Bullshit.
Aren't they also, isn't there a referendum on the ranked choice
Yeah,
in
because
Alaska?
because the
God.
Republicans up there are pissed about it, so it'll probably be gone after this election.
Good.
But the problem is you have to have the election to remove
Right.
it from the election setup. But my guess is it gets taken off, which is why Murkowski's days are getting numbered again. They're getting fed up with her, and the Democrats in Alaska are enough with ranked choice voting because when it's Murkowski running, they come out and support her because they know she's going to take care of them more, better than their shot at trying to put a Democrat in with a Democrat next to their name. She gets enough of the puffy Republicans that if they
Alaska
align
read
with
enough that
Democrats-
you should not have to deal with any of this, and you definitely shouldn't have to deal with a Murkowski being as squishy as she is on everything. She is about as rhino-y as they come because she's basically a Democrat. I think that's what you're trying to say, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She also uses the native population vote as a way to manipulate things as much, because there's a lot of room for shenanigans.
The First Nations.
Well, this is Alaska, so I just
I know.
whatever. Native Alaskans, whatever they call them, Inuit,
Indigenous peoples.
They've changed the name of what we're supposed to call them like so many times.
Well, they change it every other day.
I thought it was
Indians.
Inuit. No, they're different ones.
Eskimos.
Well,
Inuit.
that became Inuit.
Right.
Then in Canada, they call them First Nations because the reason they do that is so that people who are not in any way related to the native population can then come in and start making demands to do things and shut stuff down.
Yep. So, but Todd Blanche is now the acting AG.
No, isn't he confirmed?
Yeah, he got confirmed
so
2
he's
days
just
afterwards.
the attorney.
Or
He's the
not
attorney
acting
general.
AG. He is the AG. He was acting AG. Now he is confirmed AG. So we've got that. He immediately went on the news today and, did some of the hits. And we got everybody asking him the usual questions. Well, if Trump gives you an illegal order, are you going to follow it? And he's like, Trump's not going to give me an illegal order. Plus, have you guys looked at what the AGs do under, Democratic presidents?
Lack of
Now you're
self-awareness.
worried about independence
No.
in the DOJ?
They're only worried about the other side. They don't give a shit about what their side's doing.
I know.
Their side literally could be fucking flying, Nazi flags or having Nazi tattoos. They're like, it's fine. You're blowing things out of proportion.
Look,
Well, one
one
of them did.
He only casual Brahma'd that girl. It's not like he fully Brahma'd her. So we can live with that as our nominee. Oh, wait. No, we got to get rid of him because turns out that he also, raped her. Okay, so let's get a new nominee. Oh, let's pick the guy who banged his cousin. Oh, shit,
continuously because they're married.
Oh, by the way, it looks like he also committed SA and domestic violence. It looks like, and we're past the deadline now. He was still our best shot. Yeah. Red Queen of the North. Red Queen. When you come for the Red Queen of the North, you best bring your best prospect. You don't come up with these guys.
You got to bring Arya with a freaking obsidian knife.
I'll just drop it into my other hand. He won't see that coming.
It's easy. Other news. Caroline Leavitt, probably one of the best press secretaries of our lives. I mean, Kayleigh McEnany was great. There's been a few great press secretaries, but Caroline Leavitt has been on top of it. Stepping down as
real quick before we get into the press
August.
secretary thing, just as a random diversion. Okay. You know, in lightsaber fights, when they block it, why don't you just turn off the lightsaber, then turn it right back on, so that you get past the block and then just cut the guy in half?
Well, because if you turn off, you're basically going to get hit too.
Not unless they're high, if they're high guarding and blocking you. Then if you turn it off, their arm would go out away from you, and then you'd cut them in half.
Where is this coming from?
Because I thought of Arya dropping the knife. And then I was like, it's a random
What a way
tangent.
to get past a guard.
Yeah, I was like, that just occurred. Like that's a really big gap in the lightsaber fighting thing, because that would work every time. Because it turns on at the speed of light. Because it's a lightsaber, it just pops right on. So,
like Garrett, I can't wait until we get lightsaber nunchucks. They're coming soon.
I mean, we're already getting the bow and arrow and
exactly.
I mean, if you're wearing
lightsaber bow and arrow,
if you wear full Beskar armor, you could get away with it, I suppose.
I suppose
a Mandalorian could probably rock a lightsaber nunchuck.
I mean, you don't even have to worry about the Beskar
like
armor anymore. Lightsabers don't kill people; they just maim.
It's like the lightsaber whip. That is dumb.
Yeah,
it's
because even in Star Wars world, it does not physically. The physics do not work.
Like, you keep trying to fucking up the ante on the weapons, right? That's kind of the problem.
The dual-sided saber makes perfectly fine sense. You've got two crystals; they're both just shooting out the same length. You can split the handle in half. That's about as far as it should get. Maybe a bow staff type situation, but even then, where are you grabbing it? Unless it's a dual saber.
It's a dual saber at that point.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I'll even grant you the when they had the Ahsoka where she was doing it Japanese style with the short blade and the longer katana style blade. I was like, okay, that's a known fighting style.
But the second you start bringing curved blades that are lightsabers, we're done.
It doesn't make any sense.
The physics don't make sense.
Kite.
Fucking hate Star Wars.
It's been a while since we've seen Kite. So yeah, I guess Chad, that would make sense.
I don't know.
And with the Force, you would think you would be able to shut down the lightsaber fast enough to pass through the other saber and then turn it right back on and continue your sweep.
I know.
That's asking for trouble.
Random thought just came in. I figured I need to get this discussed.
Chad needs to get it out before he forgets that he thought this.
Because it's like these are the random things when later on you're like, oh, I need to ask my bros because I don't know what the right answer. It seems like it would work very well, but maybe I'm just being off on a tangent that makes no sense.
I'm convinced that that's how Mahler does the long videos. Is every time he has a thought, he just writes it down. Like we do all of our stuff on like the live stream. So like we're arguing in real time about movies and stuff. Sometimes we have a few notes, but it's really just trying to remember what you saw and what actually pissed you off. And then what actually, like the 4 or 5 things that pissed you off the most. Even if there's 30 or 40 during the next rewatch, it's like, oh, I should have brought up that. I should have brought up that. Should have brought up that. I think Mahler just has, you know, a constant journal going, because that's the only way you get that detailed on everything. Go 4 hours on a 1 hour, 30-minute movie. But he is the best at it.
Yep.
So here's the question to chat and to the panel. Who should replace Caroline Leavitt?
No fucking clue.
I would
Alex
prefer-
Jones?
No.
What do you mean no?
I mean, a person with a $1
that'd be
billion
funny as hell.
verdict over their head is owned. I don't trust him now.
I know who I think should replace, but I want to also try to make this fun. Who are some crazy, outlandish things, people that could replace Caroline Leavitt as press secretary?
Well, here's the one thing I'll be
Alex
honest.
Crowder.
You're going to want to have a female.
Stein would be crazy, but
You
Stein's busy trying to get AOC right now because she froze her eggs and broke up with her fiance. So Big Booty Latina back on the market.
Did she really break up with her boyfriend
Fiance, yes.
or fiance?
And then she froze her eggs at the age
I
of
heard about the egg
36.
freezing thing, but
All right, so here's the real deal, in my opinion, because I got to make this an opinion statement. She is positioning herself to run for president.
Yes.
She was with a very Caucasian man.
Yes.
And in the Democrat Party, that was going to end up a very large hindrance. And so I think she broke up with him officially for that purpose. So I don't know that she's genuinely not with him anymore.
do you think that she is going to get married before she runs for president?
No. I think she wants to be single.
Not unless she
girl
finds
boss.
a brother or a cousin.
She wants to be a single girl boss running for president, not weighed down by that kind of stuff. It's very.
She's
calculated.
definitely running for president, and she's definitely going to be a single woman in the presidency if she were to actually win, which I don't see happening because she's been crazy enough that she's not going to be able to get back to the middle.
I kind of feel like that's going to bring all the psychos to the yard.
Her
I really
campaign
do.
will be based around that she's a single woman who understands everybody's real world problems, that she still has she is purposefully not paying off her student loans so she can still carry them, so she can, as a political talking point, say that she still has student
While also
loans.
buying like Teslas and
Yes.
very expensive everything else. Just
Yes.
not paying her student loans.
Which again,
Because it should be forgiven.
She's doing it on purpose because for her, it is a super good talking point to talk about how look at me, I'm a congressman and I still have student loans. Well, yeah, if you only ever pay the interest and never pay the principal, it's never fucking going away.
Especially when you're making $100,000 more than most of the rest of the country. And who knows what else she's making off of all of her streaming money and stuff.
Well,
Because
and all of
remember,
her-
she's about the most online of
and all
all
so
Congress
she's
people.
so she's allowed to take speaking fees.
Mm-hmm.
She's allowed to let them pay for her travel when she goes to a speaking engagement. She also, if she goes as part of a congressional fact finding or congressionally, if it's a congressionally authorized trip and these are bipartisan, Congress will pay for her travel expenses and her accommodations, even if she ends up somewhere where they're getting a speaking fee.
This is all well and good, but we're supposed to be deciding who is replacing Caroline Leavitt.
Oh, it's going to be just a random, probably blonde woman. It's going to be a female because with the optics of the Trump administration.
You know who
better
my
to
money's
have
on?
What's that?
And I may go do it. I may go on Kalshi and put the money on it. Alina Habba.
Yeah, because they wouldn't let her stay on as
Correct.
as a
Trump has
as
had to
a-
have her
yeah.
has tried to have her in multiple positions, and she hasn't been able to stick in any of them. I believe that's who he will bring in. She's a trained attorney who is very good at speaking out on really what Trump's agenda is. So I think that is who they will go with. She's also hot. The only problem is she likes Andrew Tate a lot. Like a lot.
Like she wants to bang him.
When Andrew Tate was on Benny's show, Benny brought Alina Habba on too, and she was just like, "You're like a superstar. I can't believe I'm getting to meet you. This is so amazing." Blah blah. It's like, this is Andrew Tate. He's a freaking retard. The fact that you are trying to glaze Andrew Tate,
oh my God,
tells me that your thinking processes aren't quite all there. But outside of that one misstep, she has been pretty good anytime that she's been talking the Trump agenda and stuff. So I think we will get Alina Habba in there. And so you still got to look her in there too.
Well, we all know that's going to happen.
You guys got any other guesses?
I think you got to get someone who's just random unknown. You don't want.
I think Kayleigh McEnany going back in would be a pay cut, but she would be good at it again. She was great the first go around.
I think they should bring her back. I don't see that happening.
You're going to have to get her to take a huge pay cut leaving Fox to go back.
No, is that where she's at now? Okay.
Oh yeah,
I don't
she's
think
been there since she left.
She's not going to go back because
I don't think so either.
Trump also feuded with her a little bit, and it's not that Trump. Again, this is not to say that Trump wouldn't bring her back. This is to say that I think if you're Kayleigh, it's not worth the headache for you to come in, take all the fire, and then still have occasionally Trump go after you if he doesn't like one of the things you say later. So,
and I don't think he'll pick a guy again, Zephyr. Miller might be good, but I don't think he'll pick a guy for press secretary.
The only
not very
person,
Trumpy.
I would say, and I see some people mentioning in chat, the only male that I could see possibly coming in to do it would be Jennings.
Scott Jennings.
Because he's been so effective on CNN that Trump likes that kind of stuff.
Jennings would be a good pick.
Yeah, Jennings would be great because he is basically
the only issue.
That's exactly what that position calls for.
The problem
Just
Jennings would
back.
have would be coming from the right in the fact that he ran cover for McConnell. And people wouldn't like that. And not the liberal side people. I'm saying like MAGA people were very unhappy with his, I had a phone call with him. He sounded great.
And we still don't know what the hell's going on with him.
Yeah.
Wasn't it the 13th that was the basically date where you can't do anything in the election with McConnell?
Yeah, we've passed it.
Yeah. And we still haven't heard anything.
The thing is he's not running for re-election. He's already
right, but if he's dead, you could have appointed somebody. Yep. Now it's special election.
Yeah.
You didn't get the chance to appoint somebody. I don't know what they're doing. I absolutely do not believe he's alive.
Well, the issue they were also running into is that they have a Democratic governor.
Right.
And he was going to appoint a Democrat.
What's his name? Bashir?
Andy Bashir.
Is that Andy Bashir over there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Republicans were going to try to change the laws so that the governor would be required to appoint of the same party of the person who was no longer able to serve. But there's issues with that because you can't necessarily make that retroactive. It would have to be a perspective, it'd have to be a future change, not a past change.
Right.
So I think that's one of the other things that kept them from doing it. They wanted to hold on because Bashir was absolutely, he said, I'm going to appoint a Democrat because I'm not bound to have to appoint, even though it would absolutely go against the will of the voters of his state. He doesn't give a shit. Right. Because that's how Democrats do things.
I was going to say that's how Democrats roll.
They're not going to honor your choice as a voter. As soon as it's a question of actual real political power and operating with real power, they will just do what they want. And that's a message people need to understand. Libertarians
it's
need
also
to really
what we've been talking
this.
About with the filibuster and everything else.
Yep. So
we've been saying it for 2 years.
So all those people in Kentucky who are all, still like, well, I shouldn't say Kentucky because we know how Kentucky voted. They kicked his ass out. But all the people across the country who are glazing Thomas Massey and his principles libertarian positions as he's taking Costa Rican luxury vacations, with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Remember that.
Well, you got to do something when you're retired.
As you're glazing your libertarian god, Jesus 2.0, Thomas Massey.
Freaking MTG, did you see what she sent out today?
Well, let me finish my point here. As you're busy glazing him, realize that in the same state, the Democrat governor who only got elected because his daddy had the same name and was popular, and he doesn't, and there's a super majority, so he doesn't actually do anything, was going to absolutely roll the entire state of voters and put a Democrat in because that's what he wanted to do. And Mo Principles wasn't going to stand up to that at all. So quit being a little libertarian bitch and realize we need to actually do these things and exercise power. It's what you need to do, because if you don't, it will be taken and you will be rolled. The way to keep your state red is to govern like a red state. The way to keep the country conservative is to govern like a conservative country.
Wield power when it is given to you, you freaking idiots.
Because
that's the other thing. Yeah. The lack of redistricting in certain states. Not wielding power.
You remember that gentleman's agreement that Indiana had, and they just blew right through it and said, fuck off, we're going to do it anyway?
Exactly.
So, we got lucky that the Democrat majority Supreme Court in Virginia was still enough regular, rational people that they were like, you can't just blow through every legal thing that is in Virginia clear as day. And even then, it was a 1-vote decision that got us there, even though it was 100% black and white in Virginia law, Constitution, on how things had to be. That means 3 out of the 7 justices of the Virginia Supreme Court were ready to completely disregard the black and white as written constitutional amendment process and just go, whatevs, I guess, it's the will of the voters.
I mean, we're going to get to it a little bit later, but the other major thing in, I guess, conservative influencer world, which I don't even consider him a conservative, but Tim Pool did his Jubilee 20 versus 1.
The one where
it was released today.
Well, I mean, first
he
off,
actually ends up staying. He's faking walking out because the guy won't shut up and just is filibustering the whole thing. So he was like, I can leave. He still stayed for another 45 minutes after that, but they're trying to call that a win. But Tim Pool, not really a conservative.
Not a conservative.
And he's claiming to be a moderate in this video, which is probably true. He's about as wishy-washy as you get. But his final claim in the Jubilee video is the Constitution is basically already gone, dead.
Oh, I've been saying that for fucking decades, man.
It has been.
Yeah. And the argument is, I mean, when you've basically just got the Supreme Court bouncing it back and forth and everybody just disregarding the Constitution when they want to, and then pointing to it when the other side does something that you think is violating the Constitution. Is the Constitution actually in force?
No.
Because the 4th Amendment's getting violated nonstop right now with the flock cameras. Second Amendment's getting violated everywhere with states just making rules about guns.
Yeah,
left
but
and right.
we've actually had some pretty significant wins in the Supreme Court, though.
Yeah, we're starting to get some.
Let me push back on
but that's because of the Supreme Court.
On the flock cameras issue. The 4th Amendment is basically, it says a person has a right to be secure in their persons, in their domiciles and papers, etc. The flock cameras are in public. They're taking publicly available information. It's not necessarily a 4th Amendment issue because it's the same thing, the same way a First Amendment auditor, if you go on YouTube and watch these people who do it, will come out and argue, I have every right to film in public because it's First Amendment. It also applies to the government would have every right to have a camera in a public place to monitor because it's a public place. As long as they are not, And this is where the caveat comes in, because there's other technologies that are way more Fourth Amendment violations. For instance, the ability to use Wi-Fi to map and record what's going on inside a building by using the signals to generate an effective 3-dimensional image of persons, places, and objects within your home. They don't have to even set foot in. That's a technology that's out there, and that's a lot more of a Fourth Amendment violation than a flock camera. Now,
Well, it's basically the reason it's the Batman, scenario where he's trying to find Joker and he's using every single cell phone. Well, even more recent, the Spider-Man scenario. And they even said in Spider-Man, yeah, that sounds highly illegal. Yeah,
well, okay. Here's the problem. This is the way the government gets around the Constitution: is they hire companies to do it for them. Since the government's not doing it,
but it's not a violation of the Constitution. Comix. They are. If I put a cop on a street corner and he had a walkie-talkie and was just calling people out all over the walkie-talkie, would that be a Fourth Amendment violation?
No, because it's actually a police officer doing it.
No, but why is it a Fourth Amendment violation if it's a
because
camera just broadcasting?
The difference between the camera and the officer, and this is how you can go and fight fucking red light cameras, is that there was no arresting officer involved in that.
But they're not using the.
They got around that by just having officers sign all the tickets and send them. So now, the thing is, you can't face your accuser.
Yeah.
You're also in most of the places where you send a ticket. If they send it to the driver and the driver signs a little thing saying that I wasn't the driver, they'll void the ticket. Now they're getting around it by not making it an against your license moving violation. They're just making it a fine for the operation of your motor vehicle. It's so that it's basically it's like a parking ticket. It doesn't matter who was driving your car when it gets a parking ticket. It was just in the location when this infraction occurred.
It'll still appear for your insurance ratings.
That's just a cheap and easy way for municipalities to try and rake money in. I got such a huge problem with that.
But again, flock cameras in public locations are not Fourth Amendment violations, and people need to understand that they're going to get 9-0 Supreme Court case wins in favor of publicly located flock. Like we've had,
which is the reason why you have people going around and disabling those cameras.
Now that's civil disobedience. That's fine, but I'm just telling you, your Fourth Amendment rights are not violated by these cameras, as long as they are just used to monitor things. Now, once you start using them to generate criminal or civil charges, then they're not monitoring things. They're actually following people.
You're able to follow somebody.
They're tracking movement.
Yeah,
we're in a surveillance state at
that. If you're in public,
you're defending a surveillance state at this point, Chad.
But I'm just saying, if you're in public, that is not Fourth Amendmentally protected.
I get the argument. It's like there is no reasonable expectation of privacy in public.
If if I thought my wife was cheating and I hired a private detective to follow her around in public, I am not violating her rights to do that. So because she's now in public places. If the government is, I'm not saying
we need more restrictions on the government being able to surveil everything we do.
Yeah, I think the issue is it's different because you as a private citizen are doing this because of XYZ reasons. The issue I have is that you have these private companies doing it on behalf of the government, and they're using that to get around the Constitution.
You know what Colorado's doing?
But they don't have to get around the Constitution. This is not in any way a constitutional violation.
But you said it would become an issue if they started using it to actually charge you for stuff.
Yes.
Colorado, what they're doing is they are timing your drives from when you appear on one camera to another camera and saying, you couldn't have gotten there unless you were speeding. Ticket issued.
Okay, then somebody who's a good lawyer should be challenging that. And then they should win on it, because a camera on its own is just then you get it. Like in Virginia, they have they have airplanes they can fly. They never do because it's super expensive. And so they just put it up. They put signs like your speed is monitored by aircraft. and they'll have big white lines painted on the road, and the aircraft will see when you cross one light line, and they'll see when you cross the other, and they'll pace you from that and get your speed. And if you were speeding, they can write you a ticket. It's in the Virginia law to allow for that. Do I think that is fair as a way to give people tickets? No. Do I think that a Fourth Amendment challenge could be made on that one? Dicey. I think you're getting into the difference between writing, like, because operating a motor vehicle is a privilege, not necessarily a right. So you can put restrictions on it in that way. So I'm getting into legal technicality, but what I want to be clear. I also,
in reality, you believe there should not be a surveillance state.
No,
either.
I don't support the idea of a surveillance state, but
Right.
I do. We would need to add new amendments to allow for blocking it, because the Fourth Amendment as written doesn't speak to anything you do in public. The only thing that applies to you in public is the First Amendment, which is your right to petition and assemble to, lay grievances against your government and et cetera. So even that doesn't say you can't be monitored as you are protesting. It says that the government can't stop you from protesting and airing your grievances. So if you combine the current amendments to the Constitution and the Constitution as written, there is nothing to prevent public places from being monitored. There is nothing to prevent the government from tracking where you went in public as you were doing it. Now, once they try to use that information against you in a court of law, there are issues with that. So I work for a government contractor, and we do a service called OSINT.
I'll be right back while you go.
Which stands for Open Source Intelligence. And the government has hired us as a private company to monitor traffic, internet, all this other stuff, and gather intelligence for the agency involved. And then in the event we see something that looks suspicious, we pass it along in the way we can. There's specific rules on how we have to do it. And then the government has specific rules on how they have to now go to a court if they want to act further. They have to take this basic open source intelligence as credible evidence to go in, and they do have to get a warrant. This isn't like foreign courts, so they actually have to get a real warrant from a real judge and support it with an affidavit from a real federal officer to then go further if they feel like it's needed. That kind of stuff. These are the safeguards that should be in place. Like, if you're doing something based on public information, whether that's public cameras or public this or public that, public internet postings, there's absolutely a reason you should be monitoring people and what they say on the internet when it comes to threats of terroristic action.
When it's reasonable, I
but that's why there should be a safeguard.
Right?
Yeah, that's why there has to be that safeguard where you actually, I 100% believe at a minimum, whether it's FISA or anything else, if you want to go further, it needs to be a real warrant that can be. And by the way, a real warrant is not subject to national security sealing. Because if once the person gets to a court charge, once it's a charging situation, that absolutely has to be public to be up for, dissection and analysis to make sure that's all above board in what the government said and did. Because we've seen the government was more than willing to lie on a lot of things in the past. There needs to be safeguards. So it's one of those gray areas where when you try to get into the principles versus real world application, there's, in principle, it sounds great, but in the real world, we seeded the ground when we accepted cell phones and put cameras on them and wanted all that. Like, we have facial recognition. People open up their iPhones with their face. To use the I know that chat loves when I go historical. We crossed the Rubicon a long time ago on that part of society.
I will agree with you in that regards, but it doesn't mean that I want the government to be exploiting that more. And I agree that those loopholes need to be closed with the government because, I
would
don't think
absolutely
people really
support-
want to live in a surveillance state.
So at this point, the Constitution is a living document as a law, but not in the concept that the judges on the left always try to say. They want to reinterpret it. The reason the Constitution is a living document is because it has a naturally occurring, by design state in which it can be altered and updated. It has an amendment process. It is not a one-size-fits-all forever document. What we should be doing and what should be done is a constitutional amendment protecting data privacy of the citizens of the United States. There should be an amendment that says a citizen has the right to secure their data is their property, and as their property, they have the, going back to the Fourth Amendment, it should be data should be a protected right, just like everything else. We should
the Internet Bill of Rights that has been talked about ages and ages ago.
Yeah, I mean, I would do it more broadly because if you're going to enshrine it within the actual Constitution as an amendment, you want to make it a broad right and then let the court kind of work out the nuance of it. Mainly because if you don't make it a broad, overreaching right, it'll be very restricted to beginning. So I would say start in the broad terms and make the court have to find reasons it would absolutely, the most minimal reasons to adjust it if they need to. So I would give a very broad protection. I'm not sure how to quite word it exactly, to give people security within their data as part of their person. You could even do it as just like as an enhancement to the Fourth Amendment. Like this amendment is like Part B, will retroactively be Section B of the Fourth Amendment. Like in addition to privacy within your home, you have data privacy, your right to control it, your right to ownership. Public, not just public, but private companies need to be prohibited from that kind of thing, and that violating that becomes a violation of your civil rights, and therefore any person or group of people can then launch a civil rights lawsuit against not just the government but private companies for doing that kind of thing. I agree
that you would need a new amendment. I don't think a new amendment goes in unless you pass the Save America Act, because there is no way an amendment gets through in this political climate and for the foreseeable future as far apart as the two sides are.
Which is funny because that kind of amendment would be super bipartisan.
So is the Save America Act. It's an 80-20 issue on the Democrat side and the Republican side.
No, I'm not talking about from just a public polling part. I'm talking from politician part, because liberal DSA commies would want this. Republican super conservatives would want it. Yes.
Why would the DSA want to limit the surveillance state?
Because they absolutely...
They want to be in everybody's shit.
Because if you had somebody who was Nixon inclined, they could absolutely crush the shit out of the DSA with all the surveillance tools they have available. What we need is somebody who's actually, willing to use the levers of power in the executive branch. They could do it, and they could do it righteously and quickly if they... people on the left talking about Trump being a dictator are so far off the truth. If Trump really genuinely wanted to go full Augustus Caesar, he could wreck house with the executive power that we've already given him. And it wouldn't, because there's nothing that,
with he could make executive orders, but then
no.
Here's some district judge is going to screw it up.
Because a district judge would say, don't do it. And he should, if he was really full on draconian, he would Andrew Jackson that shit and say, good for them, fucking do it anyway. And then it would be a constitutional crisis. But guess what? The judicial branch doesn't have a SWAT team. The judicial branch would have to write a referral to the DOJ, and the DOJ would then say, no bueno, we're not prosecuting our boss. And then it would go to the Supreme Court, and maybe we'd get a Trail of Tears 2.0 where they get the ruling and the president just says, that's great for them on paper, we're still doing it.
Well, I mean, technically with the DSA, the only reason they're calling themselves socialist, even though they keep coming out and saying that they're communists and that you need to vote in more communists, is because it's still on the books that being a communist in the U.S. is technically illegal.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like Trump could absolutely just have his DOJ do an interpretation that the Socialists of America are just a front group for communism, and then shut it down using all the shit that's still on the books, which by the way went to the Supreme Court and they ruled it was legal. Back all the way back in the 40s and 50s, and go full bore on it. Again, this is 100% what could happen with a competent but not peaceful leader, because Trump, as much as they want to get after him, he likes the idea of being, he just wants to go along to get along for the most part on a lot of this stuff.
He does 80-20 issues for the most part.
And he does 80-20 issues, and he abides, and this is the crazy thing, he abides by the most batshit decisions, including ones where the district courts are even re-ruling on stuff the Supreme Court just already said was not allowed. If he wanted to, his DOJ could absolutely say, the Supreme Court 2 months ago ruled on the same issue, we reject your decision and we're moving forward. And that would, if they did that, it would be on CNN like 24 hours a day, like Trump is a dictator. But Trump would be able to do it, and what would happen?
Well, and we were talking about this a little bit on, was it Monday or Thursday, Comix? I think it was Thursday, where I was saying, yeah, Crowder's kind of a little bit right with his video on, you may need a little bit of fascism to get out of this next era of politics in America, or authoritarianism, because once communism takes root, you can't vote your way out of communism.
I kind of feel like you can't vote your way out of fascism either. Or authoritarianism.
But we've had situations like Pinochet where, yeah, he got voted out, and though he tried to stay in office, his military leaders basically told him, no, you got voted out, and Pinochet stepped down.
Yeah.
And that was fascism in response to communism. And what other way do you get out of communism? Complete collapse.
Well, you don't let it happen to begin with.
It's revolution, complete collapse, or you have a strong man come in and actually wield the power given.
I think it's different when you
fascism or authoritarianism, but I'd take it over communism. Communism has killed a lot more people than fascism has.
Neither are good, man.
Neither are good. Nobody's arguing that neither is good.
I know, but it's one is worse, which is communism. But I think the issue is, I think it's different having a strong leader that's willing to use power than, basically wield the stick, especially when it's necessary. Because there's plenty of times the government doesn't wield the stick against people that fucking deserve it, breaking the law, whatnot. Then saying, yeah, okay, I'm the authoritarian leader. No, I'm not leaving.
Also happens. I agree, slippery slope, Josh. But
very much
continue to let. So the episode is
titled
The Red-Green Alliance.
Here's the issue, right? If communism actually does take root in this country, it's our fucking fault. That's all there is to it, right? A lot of it, there are small things we can do as citizens to fight this. Obviously, voting is one of them. The other thing is educating your children and make sure they don't get indoctrinated into this mess. And I know, Chad, this is what you've done. You basically homeschool to ensure that your children are not being indoctrinated. And it's the reason why they don't like homeschooling, as we played that one clip from, several weeks ago. But what it comes down to is that we as citizens need to pay attention to what's going on. We need to make sure that people are running for office as well. I mean, the fact that James Tellerico in the state of Texas for office, and he's spouting all this fucking crazy nonsense, and the fact that Democrats are like, yeah, we're gonna pick this guy. It's like, what the fuck happened? Why are we letting this happen?
The thing is, he's going to lose. El Sayed's going to lose. They did get Mamdani in. They will get a few others in because it's a controlled seat. But the problem is that the Democrats seem perfectly willing to go along with whatever crazy side where you get a Tallarico, Platner, all of those things. And no, I'm not calling for authoritarianism or fascism. I'm saying that's how you get out of communism. We cannot let it go into communism or Islamism.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
The Red-Green Alliance is where my focus has been for about 6 to 8 months, and it's where it's going to stay for the next foreseeable future, because that's where the Democrats are going.
The issue is, you know, because of our freedoms are being used against us, and we need, as a country, to say, stop it.
Yes.
Right.
But that in itself is taking a little bit of an authoritarian leap, saying you're not allowed to think that way if you're coming here.
I think it's different when it comes to that, because it's like, okay, well, first off, you know, stop letting these people in. Okay, that's step one. Step one.
Yep.
Stop letting people that are not compatible with your culture into your fucking country. This is happening all over the fucking West. I mean, just look what happened with Spain recently, where you have literally people flooding the country because they said, "Hey, doors wide open." Okay, obviously we saw this shit happen under Biden. You know, thankfully that came to an end. And again, that's a very easy fix. Step two, this is the hard part: getting the people out of your country that came here illegally and are not compatible with your culture. Okay, that's step two.
With
the other thing is,
with 40% of the country also not agreeing with trying to get them out of the country because they will join forces with them.
Yeah. The other thing is, you don't let these people from other countries run for office.
Yeah,
that's it. You know, some of the shit I've been seeing happening in the UK, because you have like non-citizens getting elected, is
it's happening
insane.
here all over the place.
Yeah.
I'll look for it.
That should be like, no, the government the federal government should say, no, that's not allowed. Go, no, sorry. Your election is invalid. You cannot let a non-citizen be elected to any kind of office in this country. This is insane. What the fuck is wrong with you? You need to stop. Okay. The other thing too, and I know this like butts up against religious freedom, but if somebody, I don't care who they are, what they believe, if you're fucking espousing murdering people that's not joining your religion, you should not be in this country, right? That's the thing. That's
what I've been trying to say for a year and a half, 2 years, is Islam is not a religion. It's a political prescription. It is absolutely a set of laws.
Yeah.
It is not a true religion.
The other thing,
disguise it as religion,
right?
But all it's ever done is conquer throughout history. From its inception, all it's done is spread through militaristic and through breeding.
Well, and the other thing too, okay, we already have these fucking laws on the books. Communists, they're not people. That's it. If you are an avowed communist, you should not be allowed to vote. Flat out. That's it. No. If you are card-carrying commie, you have no rights in this country.
This is the city council in a city in Michigan, Hamtramck City Council. 0 out of 6 were born in America.
I don't know.
Mohammed Hassan, Abu Ahmed, Yusuf Saad, Naeem Chowdhury. I don't even know what that one is. And another Muhammad. It's happening here too. In fact, like I was talking with my parents earlier, they live down in Texas where you are. Mm-hmm. And I was telling them I may look at going to Tennessee instead of Texas. And they were like, why? I was like, well, Tennessee's very red and it doesn't have the Muslim problem.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing the Muslim problem all over the place in Texas right now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yes, we finally got Governor Wheels to step up and say, yeah, we're not going to be putting Muslim foot washing stations in our airports as they were doing. And I believe are already in, I think DFW already has it. Not Love, but DFW.
Wow.
Florida, same thing. Florida finally stepped up and said, yeah, we're not doing Muslim foot washing stations. If anything is a violation of the supposed separation of church and state, it's we're not going to cater to one freaking religion. And that's all they're doing with these things with Islam. Same with the call to prayer. Same with all these things. This is an invasion. I don't think Texas is going to turn blue anytime soon. I just also don't want to deal with the Muslim issue. I'd rather go to Tennessee where it's not an issue yet. Because Texas, McKinney is having issues. So I've got the article pulled up somewhere. Right? Huh?
McKinney, that's basically Dallas, right?
It's part of Dallas, yeah.
That's what I thought.
But I mean, they just voted to allow a Muslim center and mosques in McKinney, and now that mayor is being basically actively recalled because the city council and the mayor approved of another mosque and another Islamic center. So story from this week, I'm not even going to bring it onto the screen, but it's, well, not from this week, recently discovered that this happened because there's now lawsuits about it, both in California and Texas. High schools were sending classes on field trips to mosques, telling them to put on hijabs and do the call to prayer.
Whoa.
To learn about the culture of Islam.
Yeah, no. No.
They did not tell the parents. They just got the kids on the buses, took them to mosques, and had them watch videos about Islam as the religion of peace, and here's what we believe.
Indoctrination.
You think Christians are going to get away with that?
No.
Catholics?
No.
Even freaking Mormons?
People would fucking bitch and scream.
Pagans? Atheists? No. But Islam, apparently, it's just okay for our schools to send our kids to mosques without our permission. And have them watch videos on how great Islam is. And
I prefer the Jewish way of taking it. Paganism, we don't want you. We don't want you in our religion. Please go away.
Yeah. But there were multiple articles, including from the New York Post. California high school students given Qurans, encouraged to wear hijabs during class trip to mosque.
As a card-carrying pagan, I would have a problem with the school basically taking kids to a group of pagans to have them learn about paganism. It's like, just learn it from a book if you're so fucking inclined. But no, I have a problem with that. No, that's retarded.
Yeah, this lawsuit was being brought by two Jewish parents of Palo Alto high school students, 3 former Jewish students, a Hindu parent, and a Zoroastrian parent is suing the school.
Good.
Apparently this happened last year. But it's just now coming to light.
That's insane. Wow.
It's ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah.
And you can't even do a prayer on a football field after the game. They want to go apeshit about that.
Yeah.
The players can. If you're the coach, you get fired or fined.
Jeez.
If you lead a prayer. Well, we had one other piece of news from the California to Texas stuff, because did you guys hear about the story about the chick who agreed to become a surrogate for 2 gay guys?
Yep. And they wanted to abort the baby.
Wait, what?
During one of the checkups, they said the baby was going to be born, I think, with a hole in its heart and wouldn't be able to survive. And the gay guys decided to enforce a portion of the surrogate contract that said, okay, you have to go have an abortion now.
But here's the thing.
No.
That is, well, more context. The issue that the baby was projected to have is treatable, can be fully cured. It just requires surgical intervention early on.
Okay.
So they demanded an abortion because the baby wasn't going to be perfect for them, even though it could be saved easily. The mother fled to Texas. Ken Paxton had to fight everybody off. She had the baby a few days ago.
Good.
Then after demanding and suing her, demanding that she have an abortion and suing her for the $250,000 in the clause in the contract, the 2 gay guys come and get full custody of the child and are told, or basically make it to where she's not allowed to see the kid while in the hospital. The baby's not allowed to touch her. So they wanted the kid dead. She has the kid. There is no problem at all with the kid. It was all misdiagnosis. She has the kid, and it's
Baby's
going to
fine.
live with 2 gay guys. Texas did the right thing. They at least harbored her from having to kill the kid, because imagine what that looks like in California if she doesn't get out.
Yeah.
Are they strapping her to a table and forcibly medically giving her an abortion
It's fucked
By
up.
the
because
way,
of a contract?
Here's the fun thing. These are the same people who I'm sure have posts on their social media saying how the Trump administration is bringing about the Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's even
Here's
better,
the thing. Like, I like Dave Rubin as a guy and as a, kind of political sphere influencer.
Right.
I also completely disagree with him having any kids.
Yeah.
The gay surrogacy thing should not be a thing. Gay men should never be allowed to adopt children. I don't think lesbians should either. Gay men I have a different issue with than the lesbian women, but I don't believe in surrogacy. I don't believe in IVF. Because especially with IVF, and this is typically how surrogacy works too, you're going to have 1 or 2 babies, sometimes even triplets, whatever, but you're destroying just a ton of fetuses in this process. So I'm against IVF in general because of that, because you're basically aborting multiple kids to try to get your 1 or 2 kids. So I'm against it there. I also don't believe that gay men should be anywhere near kids.
Especially a lot of that stuff that's been coming out.
Where if it was the left, they'd be like, if it just stopped one situation where some kid got molested for 18 years, then they'd be all for it on most other stuff. But on gay men, it's like, nope, we're fine with that possibility happening. And it seems to be happening quite a bit, especially from the left. I know there's a lot of good gay men on the right, Mike Harlow, Dave Rubin, a few others. I don't expect they would do anything to any kids, but we've seen quite a few stories where gay men are torturing kids that they've fostered or adopted or had via surrogacy. And I'm not okay with it happening once.
No.
Here's what this is going to sound probably harsher. I don't necessarily like surrogacy for heterosexual couples either.
I don't either. For the same reasons of IVF.
Yeah. I think not even it, just the number of moral issues that come about with renting a womb are so just manifest from onset, whether you're gay, straight, or any other thing on that crazy spectrum that they talk about. Using some, poor woman as an axolotl tank, like straight out of Dune, to birth your designer baby is crazy. Because there was another example that came up this week I saw where it was a case where the surrogate, when they did the checkups, the kid was going to have a cleft palate.
Yeah.
And they wanted to abort the baby. A cleft palate is
could immediately be
That's
fixed.
fixable.
It's not even like it's not hard to fix, and it's a genuinely purely cosmetic issue. A cleft palate doesn't, except maybe in the worst cases, interfere in your ability to breathe, chew, swallow, like just pure functioning.
It might affect, you may have some speech impediments because of it.
And I worked in healthcare, and we were involved in cases when you do have a child with a cleft palate. It does take probably around 14, 15 years to fully get it resolved. And the reason why is because you start the surgical interventions, but then you have to wait for orthodontic care once all the permanent adult teeth come in. So it's not an issue where it doesn't get fixed. The only reason, the reason it takes the time it takes is because you have to wait just for your natural body development to allow you to go to that extra mile. And yeah, in the end, even after you do it, you're still going to have some, physical
doesn't like Joaquin Phoenix have a cleft palate or
Yeah, so it's just going to be
one of my nephews. We knew he was going to have a cleft palate when he was born. We knew for weeks before. There was never a thought of anything other than, okay, it'll be a quick surgery when he's about 2 weeks old,
and that's for a minor,
maybe even a month.
So it's something that can be pretty much fixed. Even in the most severe cases, you're going to have the ability to function and operate as this doesn't impact your mental faculties. It doesn't impact your ability to do any do any kind of work.
It's pretty much literally your lip connecting to the base of your nose.
Yeah. It's just a physical deformity, the lack of a better word, because
which tells you if they were willing to abort over that, then they don't really care about a child at all.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
They care about an accessory.
One of the and it's not necessarily the most eloquent, but one of the things I love, when I hear it and the clips are about it, is when Shane Gillis talks about I think it's his sister or brother. He has a sibling who has Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget, it's his uncle. He has an uncle. And he makes some jokes about it, but he also points out basically and it's about in the context of the people, because they genuinely on the left want to eliminate people with Downs from the face of the earth. They view it as a victory.
It's law in some
to abort.
Yeah, in some countries it's law, and it's countries you wouldn't think of. I don't know if it's Denmark, but think that kind of country. Denmark, Poland, those kind of places.
Now, one of the things is Down syndrome has, and I hate using the term, has a spectrum, right? There's a functional spectrum within Downs, and some people who have Downs, and this, by the way, you're not going to get this from your genetic screening that you do when the child's in utero. You're not going to know necessarily which level of functioning you're getting. But if you can have somebody who absolutely is a high functioning Down syndrome individual who can take care of themselves, hold employment, be a functional member of society. And Shane Gillis makes the jokes when he's talking about people who want to get rid of him. He's like, my uncle's the happiest guy on the planet, and everybody in our family loves him. And he's
most people with Downs are constantly in a good mood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
no matter what, they just find the fun in things.
Yeah, and so it's really messed up. I know one of my when the abortion debate came up, and it's something I've very much, I hate using this term, but I've evolved on. When I was younger, I actually was more pro-choice than I am, obviously, because you're exposed to it, and you're like, yeah, because in your head when you're a teenager, you're like, well, yeah, it makes sense, shouldn't a woman have a right to choose, that kind of stuff. And then you get further along, and there's a reason that the morals are instilled when you're young about why this is something you can't necessarily budge on. And one of the things that always stuck with me, and I forget the exact quote and who said it, was the way to judge a society is how they treat the most vulnerable people within it.
Right.
And there is no group more vulnerable than the unborn child. That when that life is something that, without the protection of its parent, its first parent, by the way, is the mother. Because before it has a father, in terms of taking care of it, the mom has to, through proper eating and taking care of herself, basically provide, the care for that child. And think of how, honestly, to me, and I don't want to say, if you're a woman who's made that choice, and because we know people who have, I understand that. I'm not saying you're not. I'm not trying to say anybody is irredeemable. But absolutely, the idea of a mother choosing to end the life of her child is morally abhorrent to me. The idea that as a mother, in any way that you can psychologically justify that, is a terrible thing. And
which is also where it's so disgusting when people in Hollywood come out and they're like, well, I wouldn't have had the career that I've had if I had a child. And they've got two more kids now, and they're like, well, we aborted the first two because, I had to have my career.
You're inconvenient.
Congratulations, the two that made it, because your mother decided not to be completely selfish after
what was it? The
killing your siblings.
Abortion thing was one of
Shout
the
your
most...
abortion.
It still goes on.
It was
all the time.
It's one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen on social media.
Oh, I know.
One of the funniest things I've seen was there's this animation somebody did. It says "Live for White Women," and you see like a snail like crossing the street, and she pulls over, gets out, and picks it up and puts it in the grass, gets back in her car, and pulls into an abortion clinic. It's like,
I've gone down rabbit holes on Reddit that are some of the most disgusting things I've ever heard. So apparently there is a fetish of people who intentionally get pregnant so that they can then go have an abortion as late term as possible in their state.
With people,
and that's what gets them off.
That's so fucked up.
It's pure evil.
Well, okay. Remember how
that is actual Satan worship.
Okay, remember when they said basically that they won't do that? It was basically a myth that they're trying to get abortion up to birth. And what happened recently?
Colorado has it.
A female governor basically signed legislation saying that a woman can have an abortion.
And cheered abortion until the moment of birth. And you've had a few atheists now that have come out and said, I don't see a problem with abortion after birth, because if you've got no moral code, then what does it really matter?
The fuck?
You've already decided you're killing the kid. What does it matter if it's born or if it's still in the womb? It's still just killing the kid.
Sure, I guess.
That's where the left is.
Wow. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Fucking disgusting.
We kind of started talking about things.
Well, I mean,
so I haven't brought up all the clips and stuff, and we're not going to. But
I wanted to, but just going off this because it's kind of similar. Have you guys been following? I know my wife's really into true crime, because all wives are. There's a case going on in Massachusetts about a mother who offed her kids. And
yes,
the amount of
Natalie, what's her face, and well, maybe it was the husband who's framing her and all that. So she went
like Lindsay
and
Clancy,
one by one strangled her kids with exercise bands after she got her husband to leave the house for a few hours. Then she jumped out of a window trying to kill herself, was not able to, and paralyzed herself. And they're trying to let her off on an insanity plea because she was, in the last 4 months, put on like 40 different SSRIs.
Yeah, so check this out.
And the left is trying to claim postpartum depression. You men just don't understand it.
Check this out. Look at this. First, they've raised almost $800,000 for this woman, which that's
we're going into like the third week of this trial, I think. Second or third week.
Like some of these, like, may God's truth and our love be with you. But like then they're attacking, like they're saying that somehow the husband did it and tricked his wife into admitting she did it. Like, here you go. This, like, it's Patrick Clancy versus the women of America at this point. Bear in mind, there's no debate. The defense in the case is not actually, they're not arguing against.
There is a full admission that she has done this.
Oh my God.
But the left.
What did Sean Head say? I'm really kind of curious.
Oh yeah. Over 700,000 now raised for a woman who strangled her 3 children to death with exercise ropes. Every single donation is from a woman. Hundreds of thousands of women in a TikTok true crime psychosis where they believe the husband did it because he looks mean. Here you go. If you are dating a woman, ask her about this viral case being talked about where a woman strangled her 3 kids to death. If she is on her side or thinks the husband did it, her brain has been fried by TikTok and you need to break up with her now. Like,
you know why he might look angry in court?
Because
maybe it's because she murdered his freaking 3 kids.
Like,
it would be reasonable to be angry with your ex-wife for murdering your 3 kids. And the way she did it, calling them in one by one and slowly strangulating them with an exercise band. And then he comes home, finds her in the freaking yard, paralyzed from throwing herself out a window, goes into the house to call 911, and then finds all of his kids strangled down in the basement. Yeah, he should be mad. And now he's getting all this pushback from all these stupid leftist women white women that they're going after him and his new wife because this has been like 3 years since this happened. He moved on. This is like a 2023 case.
So look at this. This is the picture. They're like, look at him. He's so angry. Yeah, because he's now in court testifying about the woman he was married to who killed his 3 children. I mean,
Dr. Jones, I mean, the doctors should probably be held liable to a degree, but that's also taking guilt off of her shoulders. She did it, whether they prescribed a whole bunch of medicine or not. And from my understanding, from what I have heard of this case, what she was doing was getting medication prescribed, then saying it made her feel bad, and going to another doctor like a week later and getting a different prescription, and then doing it again and again and again until she was mixing 10 to 15 different prescriptions of crazy medicine that you should only be taking one of at any given time. And that's on her too.
One thing that when you go to the doctor, they always ask you, are you on any medications? Now, if she's not disclosing that information, I would not necessarily hold those doctors accountable because how are they supposed to know, right? If she is disclosing that information and they are still prescribing her stuff, that's a totally different situation.
If a doctor was being smart about it, he would be like, okay, if you don't like what that other doctor prescribed you because it's making you feel bad, we'll give you a prescription, but you bring those pills back here, the ones that you already have.
Yeah.
And we'll dispose of them. I don't know how that works in the medical field.
I don't know either.
But that would seem to be the responsible thing to do rather than just writing another script.
Here, check out
this case is infuriating.
Yeah. Look at this. This is like one of the most womanly posts. I'll read it for you. Comics. Leos don't kill, Geminis do. And then the next response, Leos don't kill their cubs. Nope, not buying it. If he's a Gemini and she's a Leo, it was toxic between them. He did it. That's all I need to know. I'm like, oh my God.
This is why women should not be allowed to vote.
Oh, he's a Gemini, just reinforced me thinking he's guilty. It's like,
this is no different than, oh, Trudeau looks good. We should elect him. Newsom, he's got nice hair. Doesn't matter what he's going to do to the state or what his politics are.
Bring on the fucking nuclear apocalypse. Let's just end this shit now.
Well, and that was what I was going to say about Marjorie Taylor Greene earlier. Did you see her tweet earlier where she was like, I've got sources within the White House, and Trump absolutely has nuclear weapons on the table with Iran. He's threatening to use them in every single meeting. It's like, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you have no sources in the White House. The only one you might have had at one point was Joe Kent, and he's gone too. You are so full of shit saying that all he wants to do is nuke them. It's like, if he wanted to nuke him, it would have been done months ago.
Yeah. Darren Ernst comment. Trust the horoscopes.
Yeah, because horoscopes are science.
Doesn't Keri talk about how into the like horoscope stuff some of them were?
Well, Nancy Reagan was big into horoscopes too.
Yeah, she was weird.
Well, it's just one of those things, like true crime in itself, that women get sucked into, that they actually believe. I mean, there's been, the manosphere has done a ton of things where it's just like, you know, you walk into a date and she immediately asks you what your sign is, and you might as well just walk back out. There is no dealing with women who are like, you know, our auras aren't going to mix together because of what months we were born. It's stupid. There's no science behind it. It is one of the dumbest things I have ever heard. And like we did it as a freaking joke on Mad Show, Russian horoscopes.
Russian horoscopes?
Yes. Where half of them ended with like, you will go out and fight bear if you are Leo.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be like a pickup line. Hey, baby, what's your sign? And now it's just like, okay, now it's getting weird.
But now they believe it's actual science and whatever.
I just thought horoscopes were just goofy and fun, you know? I mean, nothing terribly serious.
Yeah, but then you had Miss Cleo, so everybody believes in, you know, psychics and horoscopes and crap because Miss Cleo was around for a while.
Got out as a fraud, though.
Well, they're all frauds. I mean, that's the starting point of where you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to have them outed as a fraud. We all know they're freaking frauds. If you don't know that they're frauds, then that's exactly the idiots that they want listening to people like this.
Yeah.
We touched on it a little bit. Mangione pled guilty.
No.
To the first two charges.
Okay.
I do have a video of yet another psychopathic woman who is very, very upset that Mangione actually copped to this rather than fighting it, because she believes that he was probably innocent or always wanted him to be, because you know how these leftists really, really love to love killers.
I don't get that.
Let's pull that up real quick.
I can fix him. Sure.
I mean, from day one of this dude, they were all like, yeah, he didn't do it. And he's so hot. How could he have done anything wrong? So retarded.
Well, okay. The one thing I find so fucking funny about that is when they start talking about like privilege and power, and it's like, but you bitches fawn over these psycho killers. It's like I don't get it.
I mean, that's part of the complete obsession with true crime. For some reason, there are a lot of women who really like the idea of a murderer. It's weird to me. I mean, I don't spend my time on true crime.
I don't either.
The amount of women who do, it's kind of weird.
It is,
and the amount of women that will write letters to people in jail for very violent crimes and try to, have some kind of relationship with felons in jail for violent crimes is crazy. It's got to be the same mix of people that are becoming teachers so that they can sleep with their students, women wise.
Yeah.
I would say it wasn't surreal. It was weird to hear him say it, like, guilty. Yes, like, I plead guilty, and yes, I understand all these charges, and kind of give his own statement. Ironically, I did find out we're both on the same sleep medication, so that's a little bonding moment there.
Okay,
yeah,
the bonding moment with the killer. That's so LA.
It just goes to show you that even psychotic feminists want fucking strong men.
They at least want somebody who is capable, but I don't think Luigi Mangione is a capable, strong man. He was a little bitch who shot somebody in the back of the head after he walked by him.
Yeah, well, it gives the impression, right? I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it's an accurate statement.
What they think is strong,
right?
To hear someone, I guess, like, he admitted it in open court, and this was always a possibility with this case, that a lot of people said he was being framed. I went back and forth whether he's being framed or not. I don't know whether he did it, why he did it. I always wanted to presume his innocence.
We watched a video of him doing it.
Him guilty. And today, well, yeah, that's reality that day came upon us. He pled guilty to counts 1 and 2.
We are going to have more of this craziness, like the Charlie Kirk thing and like the Luigi Mangione thing, because of AI, because we literally had freaking video of him walking up and shooting the guy in the back of the head. And they don't believe it. We literally have video of Tyler Robinson on the roof going all over campus, and they don't believe it. And AI is only going to make it worse. Yes, you need to be discerning with AI, but like, I don't know how many times my wife is watching a video on Facebook and I'm like, it's freaking AI. Skip it. My parents, they'll be sitting there talking about some video they saw and it's like, that's obviously AI. There is no discernment amongst
my favorite has been the one with Iran shooting down planes, American planes or American bombers.
Iran's just destroying us left and right. Apparently Tucker believes
like,
it.
This is very apparent. It's AI.
Yeah. Yes, that P-38 Lightning going up against our F-15, F-16, whichever ones we're using at the moment. that are just trash that we can just throw against Iran if we want to. But yeah, those little prop planes are going to shoot us down. It's like all the idiots that are still claiming, obviously, Iran won this war. It's like, based on what, 15 deaths versus their whole country pretty much decimated. They have no ability to control the strait. They can threaten it all they want. We just shut it down and say, all right, if you do anything more, then we're going to lob some more bombs at you. I am not happy that Iran has gone on as long as it has, but I also think it was necessary. And I also think Trump is looking at his first term and saying, all we got was Band-Aids covering all the problems in America.
Yep.
He got the economy pumping in the first term. COVID killed the economy, and then Biden ran it into the ground. It's not bouncing back as quickly this time. Why? He's not turning the same spigots. I think he's actually looking for long-term answers rather than just trying to put Band-Aids on stuff, because Congress obviously isn't going to freaking help. We got the big, beautiful deal. Okay, that's one thing in 2 years. Sure, it did some good things, but everything else is executive order. And I don't blame Trump for the level of stuff that is not getting done. He closed the border. That alone makes this presidency worth it. But Congress is not doing shit. And it's really the Senate.
Well, going back to the Save America Act, I mean, that's a huge one right there. That you think that the Republicans would have fucking teed up and knocked out of the park, but nope.
You'd think all of them.
No, that's okay.
You would think all of them would have teed it up and knocked it out of the park. It's an 80-20 issue amongst the voting people in this country. Even the Democrats should be willing to say, yes, we passed this bipartisan thing, except that would mean they would never get elected again in this country outside of California, New York, and a few other places. Chad, you turned into a sad Cyclops nipple again.
On mine, it shows an avatar.
I see an avatar.
Chat is saying you're a sad nipple.
It
did the same thing to me. I'm a sad nipple on stream when I went outside for a minute. I don't know what's going on with it.
Yeah, TV monks. But yeah, that thing fucking kills me, dude. It's like in Mom Donnie's New York, if you want to go and shovel snow and get paid, you got to show an ID. If you want to go buy alcohol,
2 forms of ID.
2 forms. Yeah, 2 forms. If you want to go and buy alcohol and cigarettes, ID. You want to go vote? Nah, no big deal, right? No, it's fine. It's fine. But all these other important things, even minor things, you need to have a fucking ID for. But God forbid we actually check people and make sure that they're eligible to vote.
Right.
Because reasons.
Chad, you got anything? Because I got to hit the restroom.
I'm back, apparently.
Yes, you are.
I don't. But the avatar never went away from me. Stupid Evie.
I've got other things to talk about, but I do have to step away for a second. If you've got something you want to talk about, Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham almost
and
getting
the WNBA
decapitated.
having a meeting.
Yeah. Oh, because they can't decide what a woman is. Yep.
Exactly.
So this is
talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. The WNBA is women's NBA, but they don't define what a woman is. Yeah. So this is going to be interesting. 2 former NBA players.
I'm aware of that. That's
have declared themselves eligible for the WNBA draft. Going on the fact that even though the WNBA league bylaws specifically state they are a league for women athletes, their public declarations have stated that they are not going to have any issue with people publicly stating their identity as women, and therefore, basically supporting trans doctrine. So 2 former NBA players are pushing this now. They said, okay, if that's what your point is, we are declaring ourselves eligible. We're living our truth. We are women athletes. Because, under the current trans, doctrine, you can't just say someone, you can't question it. It doesn't look, they are just what they say. They are male presenting trans females.
Yeah. Fucking brilliant. Fucking brilliant.
And if one of these guys was a first round draft pick 15, 16 years ago, so he's well past the end of his NBA career. And I can tell you that if he gets into the WNBA, he will be the greatest player in their league history.
People might actually show up to watch.
And he will be completely dominant. Now the problem's going to come in is that the WNBA has basically said they had a meeting with the league commissioner and the owners, so to speak. And they're basically like, they're putting their heads in their sand and like, we don't need to take any action. We're not changing anything about who we are. And what they're going to do is effectively collude to not draft these people. But the issue will be that as soon as they don't actually draft them, they can bring a collusion case against the league because these idiots, by getting together and having a meeting, have actually laid the groundwork for collusion. Because the way you defend a collusion case is you leave no paper trail and you leave no meeting trail. You basically, even though everybody might agree to do something, you just don't want to have any record of it. The league now created a record. So,
the funny thing is, okay, this is what's going to happen. The WNBA is literally turning into lady ballers.
yeah,
it's going to be, the WNBA is going to be the retirement home for the NBA.
Yeah, I believe
this is going to turn into another male sport.
Yeah, so Clay Travis, I think, has been pitching this. He's offered WNBA teams like $1 million to play a high school varsity team. And, you know, he's like, I'm going to put $1 million on the line that they'll beat you.
10 million.
Or 10 million. And I think he'd win.
I think he would win too.
Yeah. Actually, Comix, you're slightly wrong on it. It's not going to be the retirement for the NBA players. The WNBA players are now, because of the way they're being subsidized by the NBA, they're getting paid more than what the D League players in the NBA are, like the development program. So why, if you're making $50,000 in the development program versus $250,000 in the WNBA as a superstar, why would you not just, if you're never going to make it to the NBA, go over to the WNBA and make 5 times the money?
Make bank. Yeah.
Yeah. So it won't be the retirement. It'll be all the guys who can't make it in the NBA.
Well, it'll be the retirement.
They're still going to destroy all the women.
Yes, they will. Oh my God, that's fucking funny.
Oh shit. Hayden Panettiere passed away.
Really? Panettiere lost her life? From what?
She was 36. I don't know what.
That is almost always self-induced then.
No, I know she was dealing with some kind. I thought she was dealing with some kind of illness.
Really?
Yeah. Well, maybe. Well,
oh, wow.
She's also had issues with depression and addiction.
Why is it 36? That's sad.
From Heroes and Malcolm in the Middle
and Nashville and a whole bunch of other shows. She was also in Remember the Titans as the adorable little daughter of Will Patton.
Yeah, I don't like to remember her as the adorable little child.
Come on, that was a great movie.
I never actually watched it.
How the fuck have you not watched Remember the Titans?
It was easy.
You will remember forever the day they played the Titans. Will Patton's awesome. Very
underrated. I haven't seen anything on Twitter yet. Oh, there's one.
Yeah. That's like in the last 30 minutes. I guess that's come out or something. Yeah, so.
Yeah, 46 minutes on Twitter from Real Steven TV.
Do you think I'm not going to don't want to speculate but if it was related to addiction and narcotics and other things. I wonder. I haven't seen if she's given interviews. She was a child actress. She started on soap operas, moved her way up. I wonder if there was issues like a lot of them were dealing with.
We could hope not.
Her final Instagram post was 3 weeks ago. Let's see if... I don't see anything in here. She had released a memoir about her alcoholism, depression, and pressures of growing up in the entertainment industry. I'm not seeing anything saying what happened. I don't see anything about any kind of illness, though. And her last Instagram post was with her and a friend, apparently pretty happy. So, don't know. R.I.P. Hayden Panettiere. Zephyr.
Let me see. I got this ABC News article, I think, has a picture that should, for people, if you recognize her from Heroes, or Nashville. So, but that's
36 and sudden typically points to certain things.
Yep.
But don't want to speculate too much.
Fair enough.
So,
well, guys, it's after 11. I got to bounce.
All right, man. What do you got coming up this week?
The usual streams, Monday and Thursday, 9 p.m. Central, my channel. Of course, Friday Night Tides at 3 p.m. Central. And, we'll see what else happens.
Cool.
No promises. All right. See you guys.
See you Thursday.
Bye.
Thanks, Comix.
Later, Comix. Have a great night.
Later. Of course, this thing is all fucking not letting me out now. All right, good night.
No, you don't get to leave, Comix. We're the Hotel California.
I know.
You can check out anytime you like. You can't leave.
Never leave.
So I think kind of the last story I really had, I was going to show the Tim Pool Jubilee stuff because that will obviously be news throughout the week. You guys kind of got a preview of it. I didn't play any clips, but that's what's going to be news for the next few days. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was this apparent Iran assassination plot. Did you follow this much, Chad?
No.
About Air Force One?
For the reason why they did their switcheroo.
Right. And the media is like Tapper and everybody else is just absolutely furious that the switcheroo happened. And it's like, so here's the things I wanted to get out about it, because the whole thing's stupid from the media perspective. It's like, what did you want to happen? Is Air Force One just going to sit, on a tarmac for the next few weeks? Or are we going to put you guys on commercial flights to get back home? And they're all upset that Trump got off of the plane, snuck off of the plane, and they were all left on the plane, including cabinet members like Rubio. Here's the thing. Air Force One still has all the countermeasures that Air Force One has. But if you know it might be being targeted, you're not going to obviously show that the president got onto other Air Force One that also has countermeasures, because we've now got two of them going around, the original and the Qatari one. So were they ever really in danger? I mean, they're all acting like he was just going to sacrifice them. And it's like, we all know what countermeasures Air Force One has, and there's probably plenty more countermeasures that we know nothing about. But do you take the chance with the president being on the plane if it is being targeted, when you could swap him to another plane and still probably everybody is safe on Air Force One original? You see what I'm saying? Because they seem to act like, no, he just left us all to die. They would have just shot us directly. They could have just shot us directly out of the air. And it's like, that's not really how Air Force One works. But you don't take the chance with the president when you're the Secret Service. The Secret Service is not there to protect anybody else but the president. That is their only primary goal. Keep the president alive. So I think the whole thing is just retarded, because I don't think there was ever any real danger to the people on Air Force One. But in the very, very slight chance that there was, you don't leave the president on the plane then. And we happen to have a second option at that time. And ultimately, this is like third or fourth assassination attempt at this point. So I'm kind of tired of them complaining about anything regarding violence when he's the one being attempted to kill over and over and over, to the point that he got his head shot. But that was a major talking point from the news over the last week and a half, because we didn't do a show last week. But the whole thing just seems ridiculous. And the fact that they act like Air Force One is completely defenseless when we all know that it's not, kind of just seems like they're being willfully ignorant to me.
Mm-hmm.
Agree?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even understand why they were bringing this issue up. Is just
because they're basically trying to say that he was willing to sacrifice Rubio, and in doing that, also all of these great journalists that were on the plane. It's like, I think you guys should have one journalist on the plane, and the whole area where journalists are put onto Air Force One should not have any of you on there. It should be, you guys vote one person to go on with a camera and a microphone, and if he decides to talk to you, that's who you get to talk to. It's a privilege, not a right, to be flying on Air Force One.
Yes. I mean, the idea that we even cart around the press is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Because normal Americans don't get to do that. Me and you as podcasters, YouTubers, we don't get the treatment of being on Air Force One just because we want to ask a question. I think the whole thing is just retarded. I don't know what they think the plan should have been. We all transferred to the other plane so that we can obviously make that one the target. We leave Air Force One just sitting there, which also says, hey, this other plane must be what he's on, because they're not going to sit there for a week on the tarmac. You're not just going to leave Air Force One sitting there. It is some of the stupidest thinking I have seen out of the media in years. And yes, Mike, the journalists are there at their own risk. They decided to go overseas, and he could absolutely just leave them behind. I don't see why he couldn't. They don't have a right to be there.
I mean, this goes back to a lot of the cases that have come up in, the Trump 2.0 administration, where they made the changes to how you could qualify as a Pentagon authorized, reporter to be able to work within the Pentagon. Mm-hmm. Meaning you actually have a workspace in one of the most secure buildings in the world, or in the White House. And then because they made changes, they went to court to try to sue and say, well, that's not fair. In the Pentagon case, that was Hegseth basically requiring them to be compliant with national security protections if they were going to operate out of the Pentagon because of the leaking and sharing of classified information, etc. The White House was also where they were trying to control who could have press access, and it's crazy that the First Amendment says that you can report and say whatever you want. It doesn't say you get to live in the building that the president lives in. It doesn't say you get to work in, and this is how batshit crazy some of these district courts are, where they're like, well, clearly, for the right of the free press in the 21st century, the idea that you have to be in the building with access to write your stories is ridiculous.
No, you can have the press room and just have the press secretary talking to the journalists. They don't need to have access to Trump ever if he doesn't. We didn't have access to freaking Biden.
I'm getting
They didn't
questions.
complain about that.
All right, so Zephyr wants to know where I hail from because they don't know my accent. I don't think I have an accent, but maybe I sound like I have one.
I don't think you have an accent.
In terms of where I've lived for most of my life in the United States proper, it's been in Virginia, which is mid-Atlantic, which is why I probably don't have an accent to speak of. My parents are from the Northeast, and for specifically just the mother's side, Massachusetts, so had a heavy Boston, Massachusetts accent. My father was in New York, which kind of sounds, if you've ever heard and been lucky enough to be listening to one of our streams where Imp actually says stuff, kind of like that voice.
Typically Friday nights.
Yeah.
Or on Ascendant Arcade.
Yeah. So I guess my accent is, to me, I feel like I don't have any accent. So
Yeah, I didn't think monotone was an accent.
yeah, it is just it's just NPR monotone voice, I suppose. Yes, my father and I are Yankees fans.
Gross.
My late mother and my brothers are Red Sox fans, and I'm Giants. They're Patriots. That was made for 2 epic Super Bowls that I kept on my TiVo just to queue up to bother them for a long time. So Bruins, Rangers, Knicks, Celtics, all the good stuff. Well, I speak Southernese. You have an accent. I do say y'all every now and then when I'm in my real world speaking.
So do I.
Yeah, sometimes the Italian comes out when I say some Italian stuff.
The other thing people may be catching is, like, in my early YouTube, like 4 or 5 years ago, everybody said, well, you've got to be from like Texas or somewhere else, because compared to a lot of people, you talk very slow and with a drawl. I think that has gone away a little bit, in that we have to talk fast on YouTube in order to get freaking sentences out, because you're constantly fighting for while you're trying to have a discussion. It's also who's the quickest to talk is who gets to talk. We try not to do it on this show quite as much because it's a smaller show, but when you're on 6 to 8 panelists, I've been told that I went from being very slow speaking to talking a lot faster now, which is also why I have a lot more slip ups, where trying to think of the right word without ending the sentence so that you can actually get your point out, that kind of thing. It's a YouTube thing. But it might be that because you do talk slower as well, maybe it comes off as a Southern drawl type thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm running around Doc Holliday style from Tombstone. Like going Southern gentleman style.
Yeah, but monotone can also sound slow. Even regardless of the speed you're saying the words, monotone can sound slowed down.
I do like to try to put thought in. Like, I agree with you more on this show than others. When I'm on a larger panel, it's more like you got to rapid fire try to get your point out.
Try.
But on this show, I do like to think we take our time to try to express the points we're making more articulately, or with articulation.
Yeah, and add to the points rather than trying to take over the point.
And I try not to get distracted by the architecture and other things. Because it's important. This isn't just like a goofy show necessarily talking about TV or movies or things like that, where we're making, I think, important points, but also having a good fun time. These are, we're talking about big political issues.
It is just our opinions, and we are just a few guys having a chat on the internet where people can see it. But yeah,
I do
we
think
like to actually try to be
informative,
knowledgeable,
and our track record is really solid so far. When we've put our predictions on the line, we've been fairly accurate. whether it came to presidential ones, Senate ones, all that kind of stuff.
Here's comment of the night. Pogo. He just kept talking in one long, incredible, unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic, so nobody had a chance to interrupt. It was quite hypnotic. The Pogo Star Trek The Next Generation Picard song.
Yeah.
I unironically have that on a playlist. I like listening to that song. I think it's hilarious.
I always laugh when I hear the Alex Jones folk song.
Oh yeah, I've got that on a playlist too, on Spotify,
Like,
of all places. But
they were demon baby.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. It's sad that Alex Jones had already lost his mind years ago, but he's lost it even more now.
I like seeing like old Alex Jones when he was just running around like with an old VHS camcorder.
Back when he was like in shape and crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can just watch him slowly inflating, which is interesting.
I mean, my favorite Alex Jones song, though, is I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob.
Yeah,
I like that one better than the folk song, I think.
I like the folksy song one. It's just more fun when he's like, especially when they're doing the angry one where he's like, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think we're going to do our outros, roll in credits. I'm going to smoke, and then we'll do a little bit of after show because we're already 2.5 hours in.
20, 30 minutes after show.
Yeah. So what do you got coming up this week, Chad? I like to get that out before we do the after show because we half the time just end the show during the after show.
Yeah. We got Ascendant Art podcast coming up again this week. I don't know that. Are there any new movies coming out that we talk about?
I think we should just continue talking about Super Troopers 3.
Where you're like, this is fucking.
I still haven't gotten to see it.
It's dogma for you when it's like this from the guy who bet me which would make more money, Spider-Man or Super Troopers 3. Brahma's like, fuck you, time will tell on that one.
I think you know very well that was a bit.
Yeah, I know. I'm just going
like I really thought Super Troopers was going to knock off the Odyssey and Spider-Man.
Oh,
it would just be a better world if it had.
We have the next Insidious movie coming out new this week.
Ooh. I actually like the Insidious series.
Insidious Out of the Further.
I hope it's better than the last one because the last one was not particularly good. They've kind of gotten a little bit long in the tooth on that series. Same with The Conjuring. Mm-hmm. But
the latest Conjuring was a nice return to form. I liked the last one. Also, a new Jason Statham movie called Mutiny, where he is effectively just playing the same character he's played for the last 15 years, but this time on a boat. He will be killing hostage takers and terrorist people on a boat. A super tanker container ship thing, I think. So that'll be
I don't not like Jason Statham movies, even though they're all the same movie. I thought Beekeeper was great.
Hold on. I'm going to read the description for the Jason Statham movie and tell me if you hear this description, if you can even pick which Jason Statham movie it would be without seeing the trailer, right? After witnessing his billionaire boss's murder and being framed for the crime, Cole Reed, Jason Statham, boards a cargo ship on a one-man crusade to avenge his boss's death. He's like outside of the setting on a boat. It's just the same movie he's done. And you know what? I'm going to be okay with it.
What was the one he did that he was the construction worker boss just like a year and a half ago?
That one. All right. So no, the Beekeeper was the one before that.
Right.
Wasn't Working Man.
Working
Man, which is the
This sounds like that. Only
but
on a boat. Because Beekeeper was a different situation.
Yeah.
That was they killed his favorite old black lady. This one, well, they scammed her and she committed suicide. The Working Man one sounds more like this.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Beekeeper, by the way. I thought that one was.
I thought
actually
Beekeeper
pretty good.
was fun. I think it should be at least a trilogy.
I think one of the things
world
that helped
was fun
Beekeeper
enough to go
was it
into
was
it.
the same director as Fury, David Ayer,
Yeah.
and he's actually a solid director. I think he's doing the new Brad Pitt movie that looks pretty good, where he's got like the war dog that where they're just and the dog has PTSD.
There's 2 movies coming out about dogs and stuff that both of them looked weird to me. Like they start their preview with something and then it's like a completely different story after.
Look at, I think this is a good title.
The Working Man, Boating Man.
Boatman. Oh, yeah. So that's what probably I'll go see and talk about. Oh, then we got the Nick Cage bracket, I think, starting Friday, which will be...
Yeah, you guys are far more excited about that than I am.
I mean, the idea of trying to find what the #1 Nick Cage movie is through us. Only Nick Cage is one of the few actors you can do a full 64 movie bracket in.
Yeah, because he's been in so much crap.
Yep.
Along with some good things.
I mean, I feel like I think
people
out of the
tend
brackets,
to like his crap more than his good things. So I,
mean,
don't know how this bracket's going to go, because if
it's got to be out.
If people are defending his crap roles, I'm going to be completely checked out.
I mean, Face Off's great. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, Con Air, and The Rock should be the top 4.
Those should be the 4, yeah.
But then you got Raising Arizona. You've got a lot of other ones that could come in. There's all sorts of crazy. I mean, it's going to be a tough one.
The stupid one he did, what, a year and a half ago, 2 years, where he was Dracula?
Yeah, that was the Renfield, I think it was.
Renfield, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he has good movies. National Treasure is also could be up there instead of The Unbearable Weight of whatever the
Massive
actual
Talent.
title is. Yeah, National Treasure I would probably put up there before that.
Yeah. So Zephyr, what we do on our show is, if you've ever seen like the NCAA bracket where it's the 64 teams and you fill it out, we do the bracket with the 64 and we have the chat vote.
Like
who
I
they
did,
think should be in each matchup and win it and go.
So
all the
here's
way
how
to
we
a
do
winner.
it, though. It's different people are putting together the brackets. It's not an existing bracket. So like I did 90s music that wasn't necessarily the most well-known 90s songs to try to mix it up a little bit. Mad did 2000s music. Now we're doing Nick Cage movies. And they take about 3 or 4 weeks for each bracket to go through. It's basically the second hour of the show, we go through brackets.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
like,
in the in-between weeks, we typically do some kind of music or movie or TV trivia.
yeah, we like to have a fun interactive game where chat can have some fun.
And where we get pissed off with each other and yell at each other a lot.
Which is part of the fun. But
for me,
the brackets,
not for Slender, not for Mad.
the brackets usually have more debate, but they're also much more interactive in the fact that the way we do the winners is putting a poll in the chat and letting.
Also, the debate
be
tends
open.
to happen in the first 2 weeks of it, because we're going through. That's the first time we're talking about the movies, so you have less debate as you get later on, because if people are voting correctly in our minds,
Yeah, by the way,
then the
answer,
matchups should become more and more obvious.
This one is Willy's Wonderland is the answer to what that crazy Five Nights at Freddy spoof ripoff was. Willy's Wonderland, and I enjoyed that one more than the Five Nights at Freddy's movies. By the way, Nick Cage doesn't speak that entire movie. He's
Mike, I
completely
still
silent.
dislike Nick Cage. If Nick Cage is doing Nick Cage things, I can't stand it. When Nick Cage is actually maybe attempting to make a good movie and act, I find him acceptable. I thought Spider Noir was good, whatever that one was called.
Part of me can't wait.
The Rock
for
is great.
I was going to say, part
Was
of
he
me
in
can't.
3,000 Miles to Graceland?
No, that one was Kevin Costner
that was
and Kurt Russell.
Costner and Russell. Okay.
No, what he was in was Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas.
But he was also in the one where him and Sarah Jessica Parker get married in Vegas, where the flying Elvises jump out of the plane and he skydives.
No, you can't get me to watch something with that horse face in it. And that one's Sarah Jessica Parker, not Nick Cage. Anyway, this was our outro so that we could do the end credits so that we could go to the after show. So
Honeymoon in Vegas, that was the name of it. Okay.
So Chad has Ascendant Art on Friday. I will be there. I've got Mad's channel on Tuesday for History Interrupted. Thursday, I'm on Comix Division. Friday, I'm on with Lil Chad on Ascendant Art. And Sunday, we are back here for the Bullpen. So here are some credits. I'm going to go smoke. Chad is going to start the after show if I don't get back in time. And we'll see you in a couple minutes. Don't leave if you want after show.
MAD, Matthew Valley Production.
We're closing out another one. 3 hours deep, but we're not done. Cover the bills, the votes, the mess. Political theater at its best, I guess. Chat was wild and takes were flying. Politicians out here straight up lying. We broke it down, no filter, no spin. That's how the bullpen's always been. Bullpen's out, we said what we said. No Lulu takes, spraying truth like lead. Inside precision, facts in the clip. Next round, loading knowledge, we equip the bullpen. Dead ass, the chops on lock, got the flow, see it mainstream, pushing cap, but we see it clear. Into minds cutting straight through the haze, real spit, no front, ain't playing no games. Left slipping, tripping on the foolery. We just chop it, call it raw, truly. We're fact checking every statement with meticulous precision, while the politicians sleeping through the legislative mission. Corporate media's feeding you a carefully designed revision. We the antidote to all the manufactured television. Bureaucratic nightmare navigating through the slow decay. Congress moving at a pace designed to keep the wolves at bay. Executive decisions, Supreme Court rulings on display. We covered every angle, no cap. That's how we play. Legislation passing in the darkness of the midnight hour. Lobbyists manipulating every center of the power. But we're watching every movement from our independent towers, posing all the corruption while the mainstream media cowers. So we're closing for the week, but the messages consist of real political discourse out the corporate funding for perspectives unified and intellectual resistance. Independent media's the future, we the vanguard. Next stream hitting harder with the content we've been gathering. Bullpen moving forward, independent voices battering the walls of propaganda with the facts that we've been mastering. Bullpen's out, we said what we said. No the Lulu takes, spraying truth like lead. Inside precision, facts in the clip. Next round, loading knowledge, we equip the bullpen. Peace, stay informed, stay skeptic.
Yay, it auto switched. Let me make sure that I'm go to the YouTube, make sure I still have an avatar, since it likes to get rid of it. I still do. I still have an avatar.
You do.
I do. Oh, I guess, yeah, we didn't really talk about the fact that the NFA may be effectively dead. But I'm not sure, like, that's a weird situation. Then I need to watch a few more legal videos before I feel comfortable talking about its implications nationwide, since it's coming out of a district level case in Texas, and the Trump DOJ is just not appealing that decision, even though I know Brandon Herrera did a NFA free suppressor purchase as a result. So there's a lot of interesting things with that might be involved.
I am not familiar at the moment.
The National Firearms Act, going back to the 30s. So a federal district court in Texas basically ruled that because they eliminated the tax, the actual money you have to pay for the tax stamp for suppressors and short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns.
Right.
that the with the tax element removed, the only way the NFA was legal, going back to the Supreme Court decision in the 30s that said it was legal, was because it was a tax scheme and the federal government has the right to tax it. And so without a tax element, it's unconstitutional because it's effectively just a restriction on firearms purchases.
I thought we had said that like 2 months ago.
That's what we were talking about that's what they were suing about. So the district court made that decision and basically said that they don't, because of that, immediately you don't need it. And the DOJ and ATF were expected to appeal that, but they just said, nope, we're not appealing it. So that district court stands. But a district court's precedent usually only applies to, a single territory zone that it's in, whatever, circuit it's part of.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the people who were suing were the Gun Owners of America, which is a national organization. So if it would apply, the ruling,
if it becomes precedent in one district.
Well, no, it's not just that. It's the ruling applies to all the people who are members.
Yeah.
So if I'm a member here in Virginia, in theory, that ruling should apply to me, and I shouldn't have to do any paperwork to buy a suppressor now.
But in theory, that's also what we're pissed about with district courts trying to create injunctions that are national, even when they're only supposed to be district freaking courts. Eric, for his membership chat for 21 months of membership, was the topic of the BoomerCons pissed at the hot sorority videos discussed. I support them because Vanguard populists need to be attractive. We'll play the clip and then I'll get into that. And we'll give Chad his thing.
I have a ton of thanks to give, and it could be all yours.
It's not just my thing. It's for America.
I have no problem with a whole bunch of hot chicks making a whole bunch of dance videos on TikTok and Twitter. My problem is that they're in college. They shouldn't be in college. They should be getting married and having children. I don't believe in college unless you're going to do something that is absolutely specialized. If you're going to be a nurse or whatever, sure. But most of these girls are probably not there for that. And I don't believe most of these girls are just MAGA because they're hot, blonde, white chicks dancing. Most chicks in college are going to be dancing and trying to be as attractive as they can, especially in a sorority. Do I have a problem? Am I a boomer? No, I don't think that they shouldn't be making these videos. I don't think they should be at college at all, is my thing. I've had this talk with my daughter in the past few weeks. I know Marsden has had this talk with his kids in the past few weeks. You shouldn't be going to college and racking up a ton of debt if you don't have some specialized industry you're going into. For women, you should probably be starting a family while you're actually fertile instead of waiting until AOC being 36 freezing her eggs, because she's never going to be a mother now. She decided to go with her career, and a lot of women are not trying to be a mother until they're in their 30s or 40s. I think that is absolutely retarded. Women should be mothers 20, 21 years old, and it should be within the confines of marriage. Men should be marrying women immediately out of high school and in the beginning years of college, because that's how families start, and that's how we actually turn around the fight against people who are trying to outbreed us. And I think college is a waste of time for 90% of the population. Go to trade schools, do apprenticeships, whatever. This is where I am completely in line with Charlie Kirk on college is a scam.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of college. If I was going to, Virginia has a thing where you go to community college. If you do your 2-year associates at your local,
you can do that in most
college.
high schools now. If you're going to a good high school that offers AP classes, they're doing college courses that you get your associates when you graduate high school.
Okay, I was
No
gonna
cost.
finish. I was going to do a different point, and no, there is
Sure.
a cost. You have to pay to do the test.
Maybe
had
the
to-
final test. My daughter hasn't had to take any. We haven't had to pay a single dollar.
Over here, I had to pay. I had to pay to take any AP test, and you had to get at least a 3 or a 4 to get the college credit. But I mean,
We haven't here.
maybe,
No big deal. Finish your point. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, if you get your associates and you have at least a C average, you get guaranteed admission to any public state college in Virginia automatically. Now, you don't, whether you want to pay to go room and board and live there, whatever. But you could go to UVA, you could go to Virginia Tech, you can go whatever. The in-state tuition for Virginia public colleges is still around 8 to 10 grand a year, which isn't terrible as colleges go. So you can feasibly afford it now. If you're out of state or you go to a private college and you start doing the $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year high and higher costs, like if Virginia Tech and some of these colleges here, if you're in state, that's what the state tuition is. If you're out of state, it's about $60,000 a year, I think. It's a ridiculous amount of money. That's why, by the way, the public colleges in Virginia keep going to the state legislature and asking them to be able to up the percentage of out-of-state students they can accept. Because right now, by law, if they're a public state college in Virginia, they have to, it's like, I think it's 80-20 is the most it can be. It has to be like 80% in-state students and only 20% out-of-state. And they want more because think of how they can gouge out-of-state students for money, and it's all coming from student loans, so it's from the federal government. They don't have to worry. These kids aren't having to get jobs to pay that money. It's a racket. I would say
it's the same racket that's going on with professors, where they say, "You must buy my book that we will reference once in this class. It's $600 in the bookstore, and it must be a new copy of it. You can only get it at the bookstore."
Because it'll be the newest. You have to have the newest edition because it has one chapter that had 3 word changes or something.
But then they really don't use that book for the class at all. They'll use other books, but the professor gets paid because you had to go buy his book that's probably not worth a crap.
Yeah,
because he doesn't even use it,
and it's the size of a paperback, and they charge you $100 for it, which is ridiculous. Now, what I was saying is the reason it's a racket and they make all this money, and do you get a good return on your investment? You have to be critical. It's on your kid, because there are programs that you can get good critical thinking skills from, and actually still some people are better off going to college because you have a specific program. Like if you're going for engineering, and you're going to an engineering school that's known for engineering, you're going to be better off going to college than not.
If you're specialized industries.
If you're going to be
the arts is not a degree that should exist.
Well, my degree is a BA, so
mine's BA in history and political science. You know what I've done with it? Nothing.
I have a BA in political science, and I've worked in accounting and finance. So
I'm an insurance agent. The whole thing was jump through the freaking hoop of paying the money to say that you've got a bachelor's degree to be allowed to be in the position that you now have, which is retarded because it has done nothing. And the college doesn't even do what it's supposed to do, which is to teach you how to learn. That's what teachers are supposed to do.
I mean, it's a different experience now than I think it was even when I went. I went specifically to a liberal arts college, and not in terms of the political liberal, but in the idea that it was designed, you had to take a broad spectrum of class types as every student, no matter what your major is. You had to take math classes, you had to take economics classes, you had to take history classes, you had to take science classes. A broad spectrum liberal arts college is one like Brahma's talking about, where if you're not majoring in something very, like industry specific, what college should be doing is requiring you to do something like that, where you don't get to just goof off with silly things. You have to take 1 or 2 core classes in all the different kind of fields and schooling types, whether that's economics, science, language. I had to take a language. I had to take science. I had to take math. And as a result of that,
philosophy.
I did religion classes, but same concept. Right. It was religion and philosophy. By coming out of that concept, that's why they called it a classic liberal arts education, because you were getting a broad spectrum exposure to different types of thinking and different types of education. And you only had to do a few classes in each of those disciplines. You didn't have to major in it, but you had to at least hit all these. It wasn't just general education requirements. You had core requirements for your liberal arts degree.
You're not just taking electives.
Yeah. And then you specialize in your major, which for me was political science.
And for me, it was history. Read a book, write a paper every week. That's all I did. Political science was easy as a minor. They didn't have us write shit. They just indoctrinated us as much as they possibly could have if you were, subject to that. But history, it was literally listen to them lecture, read a book, write a paper for next week, do the same thing over and over and over for 4 years.
So this is where
which didn't teach me how to learn anything. It got me to just learn to regurgitate what was in books and what the
history classes
the professors were saying.
I took American history as my one. I had to take 2 history classes. So I took American history, and then I took ancient Chinese history, because I was like, I feel like China's going to be a threat. I want to learn about Chinese history to kind of understand where their culture developed from. I like to think that was a forward thinking and proper decision in hindsight, making sure I had an understanding.
We did just have Mom Donnie give a whole address to the city of New York in Chinese. Yeah. Only in Chinese.
So it was I did that. I mean, I'm very fond. Like by the time I got to political science as my major, my classes were about 7 or 8 people. That was because, again, it's a small liberal. When I was taking my big, quote unquote, general education classes, our class size was about 40 in this college I went to, because I specifically chose to go to a college where for like the total student population was only around 3,000. Because I didn't want the huge gargantuan, college experience. And
what did you write your senior thesis on?
I didn't have to write a thesis.
No.
I did have in political science, I did have to write, one of the classes I had to take was called New World Order. And it was basically, it was done by the chair of the political science department. And because we were a college near Washington, D.C., and we were specifically geared towards being political science graduates going towards DC careers, we had to basically do a briefing paper. Like we were either briefing a CIA, like head of the CIA or even the president. Like, this is the type of paper as an analyst you would write about a country. We got assigned a country and we had to do a whole briefing paper on it. And we had to and then part of our class grade was the paper, which could be no more than 12 pages, which was great. And then we had to do a full class-length presentation on that paper to the professor and have
you
everybody.
had it freaking easy then.
Well, this guy, he graded hard. There was like you had to do it exactly like when he gave you. He was like, he would tell you is like, if this this has to be.
It's like forged in fire. If you don't meet these specific criteria, you're just out.
Like, so if you're, for instance, like you have to be 12 pages or under, and that means every fucking sentence in your paper. And the professor didn't curse, but he said like every sentence in your paper has to be meaningful and has to be relevant. And you're like, what does that mean?
And an Arial 12.
Yeah. He's like, yes, they did give you the font size and the spacing requirement. Because everybody tried to put
because
career
there's ones
new.
that
everybody wanted
letter takes up a exact space rather than
no career
individual
new.
Space.
We know that trick.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, it's got to be this font. It's got to be this was interesting. He's like, no more than this many pages, because he was teaching you that when you go into this career, the harder
Words have
thing
meaning.
is that you need to cut out the fluff. You need to just, these are people who don't have time to actually, they're not going to have time to read your stuff. So they're going to skim. And what's going to happen is the chief of staff will skim it and then he will summarize it. And so your basically whole 12-page paper of relevant information will be broken down into 3 or 4 sentences of summation.
That's basically everything they tell Jack Ryan when he's trying to tell the president or the head of the CIA something.
Well, that exactly.
In his early years.
That's the whole So that's the whole thing about it. So he would rip you, like, it was the opposite. I knew a lot of friends who went to other colleges where they had to write like 100-page papers and it was all like fluffing and all this kind of stuff. And it was like, you don't know. It's actually, to me, it was a much harder experience to try to make 12 pages of 100% relevant information and then defend it and then explain it and be an expert on it.
I know I've mentioned it online. Have I told you about my senior thesis? You specifically?
No. What was that?
So it was history. So my senior thesis, I decided to argue that the plague, the Black Death, was actually probably the end of feudalism and the beginning of capitalism. And I had to write it 80 pages, single-spaced, and I wrote it 2 nights before it was due for the final.
Nice.
And the argument was that with the Black Death, so many people died that the feudal lords really had no choice because there were no serfs left, and so many of the feudal lords had already died as well, that the serfs were actually left with the ability to negotiate wages because there were so few serfs left. So instead of it just being you're born here, you work here, you die here, serfs were actually able to start doing some of the negotiations with their feudal lords because of the sheer amount of people that had died. And that was essentially the beginning of capitalism and the peasants having the ability to actually try to change their lives, because serfdom essentially died during that period because there were just not enough serfs to go around for all the feudal lords. So they could say, I can go over to this guy over here and he'll do this for me. If you're not going to do that for me, well, I mean, you've got 20 of us left out of the 100 that started before we all died out. I can go over there.
Yeah.
So that was my senior thesis, was Black Death actually brought about capitalism in a way, or at least ended feudalism and serfdom.
So to answer this question, in my political science department, they didn't give a shit whether it was AP or MLA. They just made sure you had to have a site. It had to be cited. Whatever format you were using, you had to use it the entire
Stick
paper.
through it the whole way.
You can use both. You could use either, but if you picked one, every citation had to be in that format, and every citation had to be proper and correct.
Yep.
Which, so it was, I mean, because they said, again, my college political science was all geared towards real world career. They're like, in the real world, if you're at the State Department CIA, they're not fucking caring whether it's AP or MLA. It just has to be cited. Like, you have to have your footnotes and citations in there.
You're not just making claims.
Yeah, Wikipedia did not exist when I was there. We had it was LexisNexis was as sophisticated a research tool as I had access to,
and we were still using the encyclopedias.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go to a real library
with
real
a
books.
Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah. And you had to get the real books, and you had to actually pull up and write the fucking citation and get to for your bibliography and all. Oh, it was such a pain in the ass to do all that stuff. Now all that stuff, like, now you can do it electronically, where you can just click and it'll generate the bibliography entry for you, and you just
Right.
paste it right in. I'm like, these kids
don't
assholes.
have to do anything, and they're still complaining because they still don't know how. The problem is they're still not learning how to learn.
Oh, I hated having to use. I hated the
microfiche.
Oh,
my first job when I turned 16, my mother worked at a title company, and they needed to convert all the microfiche into internet files, or like actual, not internet files, but actual files that you could put on a computer. So my first job, I'm 16, just got the driver's license. My mom's like, hey, do you want to do this? And I was like, sure. So every Friday, I have to go from Colorado Springs, go pick up all the microfiche, drive to Denver. So I-25 the whole way, like literally just got my license. Go into the heart of Denver into Westminster, I think it was. So it's like an hour and 30 minutes away. I got paid by the mile and by the hour. So it was only a 3-hour round trip, but I got paid by the mile as well. So I was making pretty good money for doing a Friday trip. And then on Sunday, I had to go back and pick up the SD cards or whatever we had, but thumb drives that they had converted. They kept the microfiche. I got those. I bring them back to the office. So I get 2 times in the weekend. I get the mileage going from Colorado Springs to Denver at like 75 cents a mile, I think it was. And then the hourly on top of it. So I was living high when I was 16. But it was also, hey, first time on the highway, all the way up to Denver. It's kind of like first time in your new car when you turn 16, get your license, which wasn't a new car. It was a like 12-year-old car. But my dad was like, get to school. And I had not driven a stick at that point. So getting to school in a stick that they had bought me for my birthday, without ever having driven a stick, was a fun adventure as well. I learned on the roads on my way to school.
Learn by doing.
Yep.
It's funny.
In Colorado, where driving a stick can be incredibly fun with the amount of inclines we have that you have to figure out how to start and stop on in first gear.
I'm just thinking, where is it? So this is funny because it was on Friday actually, at dinner before our Friday night show, having dinner with my wife and son, and we were talking, for some reason we were talking about the library, and he was asking us about what it was like when we went to the library as a kid, and I was trying to get him to understand the concept of what the card catalog was. I was like, instead of a computer where you typed it in and it just gave you exactly what you were looking for, and you could click, and you had to go to this little, it was a little bookcase looking shelf, and you had to know about what you wanted to look for before you even got there, because you had to figure out with the Dewey Decimal System which drawer to pull out.
Yep.
And then you go through the code.
You should have just gone directly onto the Plex server and been like, all right, here's how it was. And go, no, UHF.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you know the Dewey Decimal System? Schwarzenegger, Conan, the librarian.
And then explaining, and then just talking about how you had to flip through and find the card for the book you wanted, and then you would take the card out,
write the number down,
and then write the number down, and then put the card back in.
Oh, we weren't allowed to take the cards out.
Oh,
you wrote it down right there, because if you got the cards out of order, you were in big trouble. So it was just have a note card and write it down from the card catalog.
Yeah. And then the best part is that then I was like, and then when you would check a book out, it would have a little card holder in the back of the book for a little card that, like a timesheet that would go in, and they would stamp it with the due date, because that's where they put the due date for your book.
I still have a few.
And then they would initial who was checking it out. And he was
and you'd have to write your name on it.
Yep.
And then they would do the stamp.
Yeah.
So you'd have to sign your signature. Well, at school at least. Maybe not necessarily at the city library. It depends on which one, what size city you were at.
Yep. And just my son's face as he's trying to picture and I was like, he's never going to know. And that made me think
No.
of when we watched the video about the kids trying to, dial a rotary phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think you'd be able to do it. And he was like, what's a rotary phone? I was like, nope, you would fail 100% on that test. And then
if you got them to try to text the way we had to text when it became 1, 2, 3, 4 entry, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
That's what we did. The next thing we was talking about was like when we first got cell phones, they were clamshells style. And he's like, what does that mean? I was like, a flip phone. The part where you would hear would flip down and close over the hands. And I was like, I'll show you because
by flipping it open.
Yeah, and that's why you'd flip it open. I was like, I'll show you the next time we're in a store because they still make them for older people. And I was like, that's also gonna, if and when you get a cell phone, that's the kind of cell phone you're gonna get. Because you're going to get a cell phone for the purpose of making phone calls in an emergency basis if you need to.
Right.
And he's just looking at me like, okay. Because we're about to send him to some co-ops as he's moving into middle school with the homeschooling. So he's going to be in a setting for 1 day a week where he's actually in a quote unquote school where in fact, my wife is going to be one of the teachers there. Where they go to different classrooms and one of the parents has taken on a subject, science, math, or whatever, for the grade level. And so we were explaining to him, like, regardless of what other kids have, you don't have a cell phone and you're not getting one for several years. So don't try to, like, we want to set the expectation that, number one, just because other kids have it doesn't mean you're going to get it. And number two, you don't need one because your mom's going to be in the building teaching.
And when he complains, are you going to be like, go read my effing comic?
Yeah. Exactly. No, he's I'm raising him on a steady diet of 80s and 90s media where he can read books from the library, but we vet them. He's not getting any of these bullshit ones. He's reading like Where the Red Fern Grows, like all like the normal,
watching Old Yeller, everything where the dog dies that we were given, and Artax the horse getting sucked into the
we watched
despair.
We watched that. They just finished Bridge to Terabithia. That was one of the books he read over the summer. I was like, we're really going to break this kid. And then how about we do something even more upbeat and have him watch My Girl with you? He's at the right age.
Did you have Slender come over and be like, he needs his glasses.
I do have...
He can't see without his glasses.
I think I am having him over for Labor Day, so we'll see about that.
Oh, you should definitely play the movie then. I mean, Slender's already destroyed the movie for his kids, but he can still do worse for your kid.
So yeah, my wife makes a joke that I work from home and I'll be, working in my home office doing stuff, and I'll pop out to go get a drink or do something, and I'll come out as they're doing like their English or reading class and water. And she's like always jokes about how I have the worst timing because they'll be reading like Where the Red Fern Grows, and when I walk out of the office, it's right when they're getting to having to put down the dogs, and so my wife and son are both. So
you just think crying. Your son is just constantly crying?
Yeah. And then it's gotten to the point where now sometimes it's my wife reading, and so she's getting emotional, and so me and my son will just stare at her waiting, and she's like, "Why are you looking at me?" And I was like, "We're waiting to see when you cry."
We know what's coming next.
Yeah. And now it's just like, hey, you remember that part of Where the Red Fern Grows? Or, hey, you remember that part in Bridge to Terabithia? It's like, I know you know what part I'm talking about.
Remember when Old Yeller got rabies and they shot him in the face?
And, yeah.
You know what's a forgotten Disney movie that I actually really liked back in the day?
I don't know
Swiss Family Robinson.
I was going to say, where are we going with this after the Old Yeller joke that you're like, what is...
It's the same era as Old Yeller. Swiss Family Robinson, same actors for the most part. I mean, the ones who played the teens in movies at that point, they were in like every Disney movie. But Swiss Family Robinson had the same teen that was the kid with Old Yeller, if I remember right.
Maybe I don't. I'm not.
Did you
as
ever watch Swiss Family Robinson?
Yes, I saw all the old ones. I saw the old Davy. Was it Davy Crockett? I saw Davy Crockett. I saw the Swiss Family Robinson, the old Robinson Crusoe.
Bed knobs and broomsticks.
Yep. Yeah, Where the Red Fern
All
Grows.
the Annette Funicello crap.
I want to say, like, I watched, we read that in school when I was in elementary school.
We read it in first or second grade.
Yeah, and that was one of the first books that actually made me cry as a kid. I was like, those poor dogs, they were just taking care of their kid. Like, oh man. Then they get to the ending. It's just, and then they show the movie in class, and then the entire class is just crying watching the movie. Ugh. It's not a...
Yeah, Eric, I know Old Yeller is a Disney movie. They used the same actors for everything in that era. It was all Disney movies where they used the exact same actors for multiple movies.
One of those kids was Kurt Russell.
Yeah. Yep. Then you had Annette Funicello. You had... who was the guy that they always paired her with?
Frankie Avalon.
Avalon. And then you had multiple kids that were in almost every single movie for like a 10-year period. Anyway, we said we'd go for 20 minutes. We've gone for 30, almost 40 minutes. It's 11:15, which means it's 1:15 your time. So I think we should probably call it because work week's calling.
Yep, and now I'm super pepped up thinking about Where the Red Fern Grows and Old Yeller and all, because I have a dog and it makes me sad, and I am 100% not letting the former secretary of the DHS into my house.
Chad's going to get on all of his SSRIs and just smother this dog with a exercise band because we all talked about all these movies tonight. It's sad. But it's true.
Well, at least I'll have the wine moms on my side.
Yeah. All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.
Yes. Please leave a comment, a like, and they've changed the YouTube rules again. I don't have a problem with the 8,000 hours. That's going to be easy for me. Ascendant Art, you need to go start subscribing before the end of the year. We need everybody subscribed to Lil Chad and Ascendant Art. We want to get them up to monetization.
Are they changing the sub and super chat level too?
Subs is still 1,000. The watch hours is 8,000 instead of 4,000, which I think we still probably get on Ascendant Art. I get it over here easy because you guys are freaking crazy. We'll do a 4-hour stream or a 3-hour stream, and you guys will stick through it the whole time. And all the analytics are like, it's ridiculous that anybody stays with you after 30 minutes because nobody does that on YouTube. So I thank you all for that. But let's try to get everybody fully monetized by December because YouTube is changing the rules. So hit that like. Leave us a comment. Tell us who you think should be the replacement press secretary in the comments. And go subscribe to Ascendant Art. Subscribe to Mad. You know, I think most people are already subscribed to Comix, but if you're not, go do that too. We will see you throughout the week. Hope everybody has a good one. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for the super chats, the member chats, for the membership gifts. We will catch you later. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.